Hello! What a great start to the show. Microphone please. No sound here, Mike, no sound. I've gone deaf. No sounding calls. That's how we started this channel actually, pretty much. No sound. That's the way we roll. Hopefully that's worked. Ugly Bob says, oh crap, he's fixed it. Thank you, Bob, for the super chat earlier on. £2 super chat. There's your flashy lights.
Which you did get.
You did get, just there was a picture no sound. Like Kath's dad used to get when her mum used to get cross with him. That was right, wasn't it? You got sound, no picture. For those of you old enough to have old TVs, you'll know exactly what that reference is for.
Picture no sound.
And there's another super chat here from a good friend Mick Woods, £10 there. And he says, nearly time, better get some lager out of the fridge. Lager. How are we all doing? Is everything working? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is everything absolutely fantastic? Good stuff. William says, Ugly Bob, did you like me joke? William Bodie's joke on the Bad Joke Friday was, some people think I look like James Dean, but they don't say whether it's pre or post crash. Or words to that effect. I'm obviously paraphrasing somewhat there. Everything's good, loud and clear. Excellent. Right, I want to try something actually. While I've got you here, a captive audience, so to speak, just to make sure things are working, I was trying to explain a concept to somebody about microphones. So I actually want to give it a try and see if it was a valid thing to say. So currently you're listening to me via my wireless microphone pack, which has a lavalier mic, which is tucked in underneath my t-shirt. Well, multiple shirts because it's bloody freezing. So that, in effect, because it's blocking the actual capsule from all the reverberations and noises in the room, it gets rid of echo. And hopefully should get rid of other noises such as the fireplace clicking, the cats eating their cardboard box, Poppy going absolutely doolally because there's another cat in the garden. Echo. Is there an echo?
Sorry, I haven't caught up on chat yet.
Is there an echo? Or are you joking? Echo. No echo. All right. I don't think so. Okay. So, no echo at the moment. Excellent. So this is what the best I can get it to sound, I think. So I'm going to unplug the microphone. And I'm basically going to do what I've seen other people do, and that is to basically attach it to the front of your t-shirt or jumper. So what does it sound like now? Does it sound better? Does it sound sharper, louder? Is there more echo? I'm actually genuinely interested to hear what your thoughts are and how it actually sounds. In theory, it should sound okay, but it won't sound great. It sounds more muffled, says Ugly Bob and Nick Barnes. Slightly muffled, says Skystalker. Welly Bob says it sounds the same. Joe G says it sounds worse. Sounded better when it wasn't working. Thanks, David. O'Reilly says it's okay, not great. So this is my exact point that I was trying to highlight. That these little clip-on mics, they're fine, but in terms of using a lavalier mic properly tucked away and mounted on you properly, it's a huge difference. So just to exacerbate, that's a big word. Look it up if you don't know what it means. And thanks for the super chat, by the way.
Ugly Bob.
Ugly Bob, bless your heart. And just to, this is another mic pack which I've got. This is Kath's mic pack, unused as you can probably tell. So if I turn this on now, what we should get in effect is quite considerable echo. It should sound anything. It should sound awful. Can you still hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. That looks like the levels are quite low. But yeah, there's an echo now. It sounds more tinny now. It sounds better. Dutch Jan says, I can't see what you're saying. Random guy says, hi Mike. Skystalker says it sounds fine. Okay. So basically, this is what I'm actually trying to... Geez, that was loud. Yeah, because the capsule is on the top, it's right there. So you can be really, really quiet and get a very nice sound if you're very, very close up. But if you shout, it can be somewhat of a deal breaker. And now I've lost my cable from my microphone. There we go. Where have I put... Oh, the other mic's on me. So anyway, this is what I'm trying to explain to somebody, that if you have these sorts of mics, they're okay, but if you're in somewhere where there's echo or there's two people, you're going to get reverberation and echo and all that kind of stuff. So plugging in a lavalier mic, which I'm going to do now to this specific little unit. So now I'm back onto the lav mic. Ugly Bob says, all I can hear now is bzzz. Okay. So now you're getting a bit of echo now because you're getting kind of two channels. So the channel from here and you're getting the channel from there. But the lav is better, definitely. Excellent stuff. Right, I'm going to turn this off now because I think I've illustrated my point. So there's somebody whose stream I was watching last week, and there was this long discussion going on. I was trying to explain to them the benefits of having a lav mic, and their reaction was, well, this is a lav mic, but it's not. It isn't. It's just an open condenser mic. A lav mic is properly positioned on your body, covered in clothes, and is designed to sound better. That's the whole point of a lav mic. So potentially the person I'm referring to might actually even watch this stream. You never know. If they did, well, hopefully they're all good. I gotta say, it's absolutely blisteringly hot in here today. We've got the wood burner going because the cats are getting a little bit older now and a little bit less dumb, so they're not going to kind of barbecue themselves. So the fire's on. It's currently 22.4 degrees Celsius and it is 55% humidity. So basically it's a summer's day in here. And literally if I just walk outside of this door into the hallway, it drops down to 17 degrees straight away.
But at least Mike has two nips pointing him in the right direction.
So yeah, it's cold out. So it's dry and toasty and my throat is feeling like it's been somewhat cut.
That's because you were on tea and coffee duty while I was cutting
Yes,
the wood.
I've been terrible.
One.
Right, echo definitely right. Okay, so we've cleared that up. Excellent stuff. So hello to all of you that are in the chat, and happy Saturday to you, or happy Sunday morning if you're in the opposite end of the flat Earth. Let's see who we've got in with us today. Oh, we're buffering already. We're buffering. I can see it buffering on my screen there. Shithid. Right, Ugly Bob is with us. Matthew Day, and says Matthew Day says that 2024 will bring his long-awaited PC build. Matthew Day, his PC build has been an ongoing project for, I'm pretty sure, as long as I've known him. And that is, I'm thinking, somewhere in the region of about 5 or 6 years now. Matthew, let me know if I'm right or wrong now. I'm pretty sure it must be at least 5 or 6 years by now. Well, because we're into 2024, that makes a bit of a difference. So we're only just inching into it. But I think it's about 5 years. I'm sure it's definitely, it's pre-COVID. So that's 2019, late 2019. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was before then. Maybe 2017, 2018. So it's been around a while. But still hasn't finished his bloody PC build. He's bought multiple PCs in multiple bits, but not actually finalised any of it. So get your finger out of your backside, get on with it, get it put together, assuming Amazon delivers it all. And thank you also as well for using the Amazon affiliate links from the website and also from the Discord, etc. Much appreciated. As it is from all of you, actually, all of you over the festive period who have been using our affiliate links and premium CD keys. I'll put a shameless plug into the screen right now. For those of you who use premium CD keys, fantastic, great stuff. I've looked at the stats, and there's actually a lot of you that are using premiumcdkeys.com from our affiliate links now. Now, we're never going to retire on it, let's be fair, because £5, well, less than £5 for a Windows license key isn't going to make them rich, let alone make me rich. And I think we get about 30 or 40 pence possibly, or maybe 50 pence per key.
As much as that.
Might be a little bit less than that.
5%.
I think it's 5% we get, so it's a very, very small amount. But it all mounts up, so happy days. I'm glad that you're all using it, and I'm actually glad that you're saving money. I still see people on a daily basis buying license keys straight from Microsoft or like from CCL, any of those kind of traditional retailers, and you're paying like £100 for a license key. It's like, please don't do it. Well, do it if you want to. It's up to you. It's your money ultimately.
Is that a German flag on the keyboard box?
Yes, it is actually a German flag on the keyboard box. Well spotted.
William Booty.
Who else we got? Ugly Bob says, I'll be watching that used GPU market closely. I'll take a really good deal to pry me away from my 3060 Ti. Funny you should say that because I've actually done a video this week. A bit of a love story, I suppose, about the 3060 Ti. Now that we've got a new range of graphics cards about to hit the market anytime now with the Super range from Nvidia, which is going to have an effect on GPU pricing, and it already has. A quick story for you today, looking on Facebook Marketplace, as I quite often do, and noticed a graphics card for sale, and it was a 4070 Ti, and it was somewhere in the region of about £670, I think, around that sort of thing. Basically, it was a lucky guy. He had a 3070 Ti which failed, sent it back for RMA. They didn't have any to replace it with, so they sent him a 4070 Ti. So all round quids in. There was a little bit of a bottleneck on his system, so basically wants to get rid of the card. It's brand new in the box, an RMA replacement from Gigabyte. So I messaged him and said, look, I just want to give you a heads up. In a couple of days' time, there's going to be a big shake-up in the GPU market in terms of pricing. So, like, if someone offers you a decent deal, I would snatch it up, because you're going to struggle to sell it for that sort of money in a few days' time when the whole thing kicks off, or at least starts to kick off. Officially, I don't think we get the 4070 Ti Super until, I think it's another 2 weeks. Next week is the 4070 Super. The week after is the Ti Super, and then the week after that will be the 4080 Super. So there's like a staggered release there. But anyway, so a bit of conversation, and effectively I think he's dropped it down to about $540 now. Which, if you think, £540 for a brand new 4070 Ti, at this actual time in place, that's a pretty good deal. But if you think about it another way, that's the kind of thing that you'll be able to get something like this for potentially in a couple of days' time. Which, as we've already deduced from the CES results and the numerous press releases, etc., the 4070 Super is kind of effectively a replacement for the 4070 Ti in terms of performance. There's a little bit in it either way, but price-wise, it's come down a hell of a lot, a big jump. And it appears that the Founders Edition versions of the 4070 Super would appear, at least at present, to be looking to retail for £579.99. Now, this is open to conjecture. It may change. There's a couple of days yet, so we don't really know, but it appears that is going to be the price. So $599 is the kind of MSRP, but the UK price, obviously, you don't get... Has he got his hand up to ask a question?
I think so. Should I show?
Yeah.
Is there anything on that box? It's nice.
No. One of the cats has got their paw up to ask a question, I think. Kath's just going to give you a close-up of that now. And this is what I have to put up with, so... Although,
another one there.
yeah,
That's Candy.
There's Candy spread out. You can tell how hot it is in here because they're all just airing out their monkeys. They really are.
And we've got Maisie down there.
Careful, we're aiming that bloody camera lens.
Where do I have it? There.
There's a viewfinder on there. You can use it. It's fine.
You don't have your screen. Yeah, but your
That'll
screen
do.
is
That's close
where
enough.
it usually goes.
That's close enough. That'll do. Also,
That cuddle puddle.
is a cuddle of puddle. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we're at. Graphics cards. The market is it's definitely going to be a shake-up, and hopefully there's going to be a knock-on effect. That is something ultimately I would say, yes, I'm very pleased and very much looking forward to the 4070 Supers, 4070 Ti Super, 4080, etc. So I think it's going to have a knock-on effect in the rest of the market, and already, in my specific instance, it already has. So if that is anything to go on, it's obviously going to have a knock-on effect down the tiers in terms of what is available on the used market. So for those of us that have been looking at other things like maybe 3070s, 3080s, RX, whatever, 7600s, maybe not so much those, but 7800s, I'm going to say that Nvidia are going to have to come back with some, AMD are going to have to fight back with something, because if not, I think they're going to be in a world of hurt. even though technically they don't really compete, but they kind of do. Anyway, yes, Kath.
Nick Burns question.
How far is it down?
Well, sort of up to date.
All right, okay, let's get up to date then quickly. Nick Barnes question: do you think our UK market will see big discounts on the 4070s? Now that is a very good question. Now I don't know for sure. The 4070 has been rumoured that there's going to be a slight price drop. Now it already dropped £50 or $50 over in the US for the kind of existing launch. So I'm going to say, I'll put myself out on a limb here. I think if the Founders Edition of the 4070 Super is £580 or $579.99, I think the 4070 non-Super would have to be $499 or less to actually make any sense at all. But that isn't always the way that it works, and Nvidia and its partners work in mysterious ways. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if the 4070 is $529. I think that is the more realistic thing. Really, to be honest with you, it probably needs to be $479. But again, it's one of those things. It's a moving target. We've had this conversation before, and probably will have it again many times. And that is the fact that the whole graphics card kind of family has shifted tremendously. A particular point case is going to be something like the 1060. So if you look at the 1060 graphics card, yes, it was great in this day. You had the 3 gig version, which was not so good. You had the 6 gig version, which was better. But it was a different beast altogether. You look at the modern 3060 Ti or the 4060, it's a completely different card with a much different set of characteristics. In terms of raw horsepower, frames per second, there is obviously a gulf between them. But when we look at generational leaps, we often take the kind of the face value of frames per second. Now, frames per second is pretty much the only way that we've actually got to differentiate products when we're doing benchmarks and stuff like that, or when you're looking at reviews. And I'm still saying, I've said this before, and I still think that looking at FPS numbers isn't always a relative thing unless you're reviewing the exact same cards on the exact same game on the exact same day. So when you get the generational changes like the 1060 versus maybe the 4060, you're probably going to have to troll back a little bit and look at previous reviews of a 1060 running maybe Fortnite, then look at a modern review with a 4060 running Fortnite. And the thing is, the Fortnite as a game engine has changed dramatically since then. So comparing frames per second is a really difficult thing to do. And I would say now, modern games, much more detail, so much more goes on in terms of the visual quality. And also you've got the other things going on, like your FSRs, your DLSS and all that kind of stuff. So it's really hard to kind of say that generationally, just looking at frames per second, this is the improvements or this is the changes. Because there's a lot more to that goes on beneath the hood. Especially with like an Nvidia graphics card, because you've got the improvements like the NVENC encoder, which if you're a streamer, you're using shadow play or you're making content, it's a big boost, especially generationally as well. The NVENC encoder just gets better and better. And the next version up from this, the 4070 Ti Super, actually has dual NVENC encoders, so you can run shadow play and stream or do something else at the same time, which is like amazing. Anyway, yes, Kath.
Tech for Tex congratulated you on your 100K.
Oh, thank you very much, Tech for Tech.
How long did your black take? It's only about 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks, I think. It was around the Christmas period, so there was obviously, because it comes from America, you're looking at, it's kind of just around the Thanksgiving season, I think, that we qualified for it, so there would have been those slight delays as well. But yeah, anyway, good to see you, and hopefully yours won't be too far off. I must admit, it's been a while since I visited your channel, I must say. I'm very sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I will dip in. I used to dip in all the time, but time has been so much at a premium recently. There's been so much going on, not only with the channel, with us here personally, and also these crazy cats that we've got. So yeah, trying to eke out as many hours in the day at the moment is hard work. But anyway, thanks for dropping in. Good to see you and hear from you, obviously. Nighthawk says, I'm so sick of not being able to get a fair price motherboard. I have an all-white build planned with the new Lianli O11 Vision, but all-white motherboards are £200 plus. Where are the sub £200 mobos for budget builds? Well, the first thing is you've basically shoehorned yourself into that. You have no one to blame but yourself. If you want a white build, you have to pay the premium. It's very much like if you're buying a ITX build. You have chosen to go down that route, therefore you go along with all of the things, the downsides and all the issues that that is going to entail. So I have no sympathy for you whatsoever, but I do agree with what you're saying. The trouble is with the white components is it's the economy of scale. And also the fact that the motherboards need to be screen printed, etc. Generally, they're not white in terms of PCB. There's a coating on them. So that adds to the cost. And also they know that basically the white motherboard market is somewhat niche. So they'll either do a dedicated model, which is white, or they will take a model and give you a white option, but it's quite rare. So normally people are going for an all white build. It's going to be a high-end premium PC, so it's going to be a premium motherboard. So you're unlikely to get a budget board in white.
And there's always paint, the letter says.
There's always what's that American phrase for the paint that you can peel on and you can spray on and it peels off? I can't think what it's called now. But yeah, you could always use that.
What, like you wrap a car with?
Yeah. Can't think what it's called now. They use it for car wraps, but yeah, you could use the same thing. Yes, Cav? William Bodie's got a question. Where is that? I can't even see that. Whereabouts would that
Just
be?
up from the bottom, not too far up.
William Bodie.
TV
Hi, Dave.
only have max 60 hertz, so does more than 60 FPS matter?
Right, no, that's actually a good question. Plasti Dip, Chris Hartford says thank you, and Stuart Cleary, Plasti Dip, that's the one. Plasti Coat, yes, that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're using a 60 hertz screen, so maybe you're using a TV, a lot of people do these days, plug in the HDMI into a TV, or if you've got like a bigger or maybe a slightly older monitor, then if you're locked to 60 hertz, does having a graphics card that runs higher than 60 hertz actually have any benefit? Now, yes and no. It's going to be one of those things, so you are going to find some games, depending on the movement, you are going to get some visual tearing. But most modern graphics cards now have things like FreeSync or like VSync technology or whatever it is, so you can kind of minimize that a little bit. Now, all the screens I've got currently in this room, which I use for gaming and testing on, are 60 hertz screens. So that's a 4K 60. The one over on the desk there is a larger version, basically the same sort of thing. That's also a 4K 60. I've also got an ultra wide, which is 3440 by 1440p. Thanks, Welly Bob. That is also 60 hertz as well. And I honestly don't see a problem with it. I generally try and set my frame rate to either 60 hertz to lock it in, so you get that free sync, so you don't get that tear in, or I maybe set it to 120. So for every one displayed screen, the computer's actually generating two. And actually I find that gives a very nice smooth appearance. And for most graphics cards, 120 frames per second isn't that difficult to actually do. So in terms of actual visual quality, ideally if you've got a monitor which will go higher, great. But if you don't have it, it isn't a problem and you can go over and above that. Or just cap it at 60 hertz. Capping it at 60 hertz gives you a lot of benefits, so you can then turn up the texture qualities because your graphics card isn't trying to do as many frames, so you can enjoy a nicer, clearer, cleaner image with a higher resolution or potentially higher detail and still not be straining the bejesus out of your graphics card.
Tech for techs.
Tech for Tech says, not too bad. You know what life is. Probably to get to 100k in around 6 months at current growth. Excellent stuff. If you want, I can get you set up with some press tickets for TechMax 24. Got Kit Guru coming, as a few others. Now that is very kind of you, but some of you will probably know, probably some of you in the chat are already thinking this already. Mike, leave the house? Surely not. I very rarely leave this house. and with the responsibilities of young kittens and stuff, and kids which are useless, trying to leave the house isn't a very easy thing to do. But thank you very much for the offer. It's very kind of you. And yeah, hopefully your 100k comes very soon. To be honest with you, the 100k thing, for me personally, hasn't made a blind bit of difference. And if anything, it's worse, because it puts more pressure on you, because people have an assumption that if you're a channel of a certain size, then you should have a certain level of production quality. Well, I say, F that, I just do what I want to do. If you don't like it, don't watch it, don't subscribe. Simple as that. And that is something which I'm going to try and stick to going forward. People come here because of what it's like, the content and what we do, so hopefully they'll stay. Ladios is with us, says, have a good evening, Mike. Thank you very much. Ladios says, Windows 10, Windows 11 doesn't feel nice at 60 Hz. 140 Hz or above can be addicting, seeing the smooth animations. I can agree. I previously used a 165 Hz display on my video editing desk, and yes, I did miss it for probably about, I don't know, a day or two, but I soon got used to it. It's all about what you're used to, really. I think a lot of the frequency stuff, the Hertz wars, is basically bragging rights, because it doesn't really make a great deal of difference. And the thing is, if you're gaming, I don't think it makes a lot of difference. You're so immersed in the game itself, do you really notice that your screen doesn't appear to be as buttery smooth as it would be? Most online games are stuttery as hell anyway, so that kind of takes it away. Alessa says, I only leave my house for doctor visits.
Rick H says we only stay for yellow stickers.
We do.
And that's only to get Mike to get some exercise.
Yeah, that is only for exercise. Jason Wood says, I just tried joining the channel, but YouTube won't let me. Swines.
Should we give away some memberships?
Oh yeah, I think we can give away memberships, but I don't think we can't dedicate them. So how do we do that again? Yeah, go on, you do it. Kath's going to give away some memberships. So you never know, Jason, you might get it. Let's say it loud. Jason Woods, member, and see if YouTube picks up on the algorithm of me saying that and does it.
Have we got any?
I'm not sure if we have.
Give free of charge. You have 10 memberships left to give this month.
We have 10 memberships to give out. So can you do 5?
5 now.
We'll do 5 now. We'll do 5 later. Go, Jason Woods. We're rooting for you. There we go. So if you're in the chat, you'll have just got a...
G-Zone.
Oh.
They're in the chat.
G-Zone's in the chat. Excellent stuff.
Sorry, we tried.
Sorry, we tried, yeah. That's the best we can do. So when we do gift memberships, basically you get 30 days. You can now get access to the early access content. And also you can use the emojis. They're in the chat. And also you get the VIP rank member role on our Discord. Oh, and Ugly Bob's gifted another 5 as well. Thank you.
Let's give him a...
Does that do it itself? Ah, there we go. Bob's doing it now. So he's got William. So can you choose who they go to if you do it?
Thank you, Ugly Bob.
Awesome. So William Bodie has now got membership. Jason Woods has now got membership.
Oh, cool.
Macaulay 144431. Michael Nager and Victor Vector. What's your Victor Vector? What's your Vector Victor? Victor Vector? One of those. It's from a film. Jason Wood's got one. Awesome stuff. Ugly Bob says 103k subs, here we come. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. So there you go. There's some gifted ones. We'll give away another 5 later on in the stream as well.
Remind us if we don't, because Mike's good at forgetting.
Yeah. Thanks for the gifting the memberships, Bob.
We've got until the end of January, so if we don't do it this week, we'll definitely do it next.
Aletta says, never waste a gift membership on me. I'm not online long enough to use it. Well, we don't personally get the... we don't get to choose it when we do it, but if anyone wants to donate them...
Give me a kitten.
No. Yes.
You forgot yourself for a minute.
Yeah.
He's a crazy cat man now. He's worse than me.
Tech for Tech says, no problem. Let me know if you change your mind. Keep up with the good content. Well, I won't go as far as saying good, but it's acceptable when people watch it. So that's all you can ask this day and age. Ugly Bob says they were random. Excellent stuff. Good on you, Bob.
Oh, that's cool that Jason got it though.
So now you lot that have got memberships, you've got to make sure you actually watch the bloody videos and press the like button and comment and all that stuff. Most of you do anyway. I'm only joking, of course.
People go, how does this video only come out 2 hours ago and it's got
Yeah,
10 likes?
yeah, it's
already?
like, this video's only just come out and it's got 10 likes and Bob's already commented. It's like, he's a member. And he's a Patreon, so he gets it even earlier. Anyway. Bless you all. So where else were we? Those of you that were with us as well, it's getting to the point now where we're probably getting a little bit too many of you in here to actually say hello to each one of you individually, but if I see names, I will. I think I've said hello to most of you. Skystalker, how are you doing? Rick H, God bless you. David Underhill, who is literally under the hill. He's under the world, under everything. Well, technically the world's flat, so he's across from us.
He's in the sunny bit.
But if you're still one of those ones who believes it's a globe, really, he's underneath. I joke, obviously. Letters with us, we've said that. Nick Barnes, Welly Bob, bless you. Joe G says, I'm deaf now. Sorry to hear that, Joe. David Andus says, Fark just crapped myself. Hey, there you go. No need for prune juice. Just listen to my microphone really loud. O'Reilly says, certainly spatial sound when using both packs. Well, that's an interesting theory, actually. Wonder if I could use both packs to get a more open sound. Pointless, I won't bother.
William Bodie wonders why his name's green.
William Bodie, your name is green because you're now a channel member, thanks to Ugly Bob gifting you a channel membership.
And Macaulay's, what was the name?
And Macaulay.
Yeah, Macaulay said thanks for the membership.
No worries.
Thank Ugly Bob.
Letter says the only mic I have is a Snowball Ice. No worries. Hugh says I'm glad I didn't have my hearing aids in. For those of you who come into the stream a little bit later, I did some messing around with the microphones earlier. So. G-Zone 2.0 says hi Mubs earlier on. O'Reilly's in the house as well. O'Reilly says, I think the lab mic is the closest you can get to before you start getting TV studio quality mic. You see anchors and interviewees where. Yeah, I think you're probably right. To be honest, the lab mic isn't that dissimilar from what they use in studios, although the circuitry is obviously going to be a little bit better. David Endo says, the YouTubers I hate, you shouldn't hate anybody. You should dislike with a passion. Hate's a stronger thing. The YouTubers I dislike with a passion are the ones that use a small mobile phone style mic which they hold the whole stream. Yeah. That is kind of what I'm thinking. No buffering. So Stuart Clear is with us. How you doing, Stuart? Matthew Day, who said.
There's quite a few coming through.
Yeah.
End.
Mark Berry, how you doing? Mike's premium CD keys are a lot cheaper than other ones I've looked at. I've said this time and time again. I'll put the link in again. If you're buying CD keys for Windows or for Office from anywhere other than premium CD keys, you're losing out. You're giving money away unnecessarily, and you're basically getting the same thing. Like, a CD key is a CD key. If it activates Windows and says your Windows is licensed with a digital license, that's it. It's job done. Whether it's OEM, whether it's retail, whatever, realistically, it doesn't make a difference. Rick H says, I just picked up an ASRock Challenger A380 for an Intel build. Nice one. I unfortunately have been unable still, this week, going back to, I've been stressed right out this week. There's been a lot going on. So for those of you that don't know, and obviously don't get that reference to this box here, this is an MSI Gaming X Slim graphics card, the GeForce 47T Super, which is, the video for this is due out, I think, at 2 PM on January the 17th, because this is a slightly overclocked version. The other Founders Edition type cards will be on the 16th, so do look out for those, and obviously check pricing as well. But this week I've been predominantly, I think this arrived on maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. So I spent probably the last 3 days almost entirely doing setup, configuration, trying to get hold of drivers, because this is things that you don't always take for being like a thing. So if you get a graphics card or a product for review and it's not out on the market yet, there generally isn't going to be drivers on the market for it, or if there are drivers, they do something to the product to lock it so that the general public can't use it. So you have to apply to Nvidia to get access to their press area, which is a few hoops to jump through. They have to verify who you are, etc., and see if you're worthy of Nvidia's attention. Leave that cable alone. And then after that, then you can ask for other areas. So then I needed the driver access. So then you're waiting for that. So I tried actually running this card with the standard GeForce drivers, which I have installed on my system already, and it recognized it as a Microsoft Basic Display Adapter. So there's no way that you can actually do any benchmarks or reviews on this card unless you have access to the Nvidia drivers. So that was a problem to begin with. So then trying to actually benchmark a graphics card that is particularly fast, and you want to capture the footage at 60 FPS or higher if you can, because of game capture and how it works. Capturing high resolution, ultra wide or 4K at 60 Hz isn't easy. You need a somewhat ninja system to do it, or you need a 4070 Super in the PC that you're actually capturing to. Now, at the moment, I've only got one of these. So actually trying to capture the footage of this thing running at the insane speeds that it did was very challenging for my Radeon RX 6800. So I will say apologies in advance if you're watching the review when it goes live, if some of the footage looks a little blurry and smeary. That is purely because the AMD encoder on Radeon cards isn't as good, basically. That's where it comes down to. Or I don't have the know-how in OBS to make it look as good as it possibly should do. So, sorry, the cats are purring. So that was one of my other problems. So I did numerous test runs, numerous recordings, then watched the footage back and it's like, well, that looks awful. So eventually I got to a point where it's like, right, this isn't crystal clear, but it's watchable. So you're going to have to watch out for that when it comes out. It's, yes. It was a very traumatic experience. So basically 3 days of benchmarking games at high resolution. So that is going to be where our review is going to differ from pretty much all the other ones you'll probably see out there. So I actually did a posts asking what you wanted to see reviewed, or what resolutions and what games, etc. So I've got a selection of about 10 or 11 games, but at 3440 by 1440p, so that's ultra wide, and also 4K. Those are the two which I've dedicated my time to, because I think if you're buying a card of this kind of caliber, you're going to be buying a 1440p monitor, you might go ultra wide, and ultimately if you watch the review, you see the footage, you see the figures. If you're running a 1440p normal 16:9 monitor, or you're running 1080p, obviously your scores are going to be immensely faster, immensely better. So I've kind of given it its worst case scenario, which it possibly isn't even designed to run at those resolutions at such high quality settings. But anyway, you'll have to make up your own mind for that when it comes out. Matthew Day says, doesn't the capture card do it? The capture card sends the information to the OBS. So the capture card itself is literally taking an HDMI signal and digitizing it. It's then down to the receiving computer to have the hardware or encoder to convert that information into something which you can see on the screen. Which, if you're running at sort of low frame rates, it's absolutely fine. And there's parts in the game where I'm not really moving around very much, and it looks absolutely stunning. But there's some things where it gets fast moving and the encoder just can't keep up. And I set it to the fastest preset of the OBS's encoder and it still couldn't keep up. So I need this graphics card or something very similar to make my life easier going forward.
Nick Barnes, you just answered.
Yes, I think so, sort of. Skystalker says, I thought you were using the ARC A770 card to encode. I did start off with that. I should have gone back to it, to be fair, but I already had the RX 6800 in my PC, which is, in theory, a considerably faster card. But it didn't seem to be. And also, the ARC cards don't do AV1 in OBS properly yet. There's still bugs in that, so I would have loved to have used AV1 for that. Unfortunately, OBS only supports AV1 from Nvidia 40 series cards. So, yeah.
Really random says, can't you use the 4K Elgato to screen capture the full res?
You can, but, well, no, you can and you can't. 4K capture cards, like Elgatos or whatever brand it is, AverMedia, or just any generic one on Amazon or eBay or whatever, they are purely digitizing what is on the screen, and they get it to a point where they pass it into the USB cable to the computer. It's then down to the computer to actually have enough horsepower to be able to take the information from the capture card and encode it into a video format. So when it comes out of the USB cable from the capture card, it's basically useless. It's just noughts and ones. So you need an encoder to then look at that information, those noughts and ones, and go, right, that should be there, that should be there, that should be there. And do that like 60 times a second with a 4K image, which is like 8 megabytes or more. So 8 megabytes per second isn't easy to do. Now I'm streaming this footage at the moment at 30 frames per second, and we're using about 5 megabytes per second. And it's relatively slow moving, but every now and then you get dips, and because it's a relatively static screen, there's not much going on. But if basically everything is moving, the encoder would need more bandwidth, which is a problem. Sure69 says, hi Mike, how you doing? Dutch Jan says, get a 4090 mic, problem solved. Definitely. I think that would be the way forward. So yeah, the capture card is basically just a kind of a step in the link. I'm trying to think, there's not really an easy way of explaining the kind of the pipeline as it works. I don't fully understand it. And also the kind of the bit rates and all that stuff, because you'd think that going from 1080p to 4K, because 4K is 4 times 1080p. So if you put a 1080p screen 1, 2, 3, 4, that whole lot makes up 4K. So you'd think that in terms of bit rate, if you're recording footage, you'd need to have it set to 4 times what the 1080p is. But it doesn't. It needs like 2 times or 2.5 times. So you have to get it so that the encoding rate is low enough for the encoder to handle, because otherwise you get what I was getting, which is the encoder overload. So basically I'm pushing too much data into the PC, and the encoder's like, nah, I'm not even going to go there. And I tried it with QuickSync on the 13900K. Also tried it H.264 on AMD and also H.265. It just didn't have the throughput to make it look crispy. I could have downscaled it to 1080p and then rescaled it back up to 4K for the video, but I think that's probably just as bad. I wanted to give you the right results, but I've done what I can. Anyway, so that was it. So 3 days-ish, maybe 3.5 days of messing around, getting it figured out, getting the drivers, doing the benchmarks, recording the footage, then actually going on to edit the video, throwing it all together. And I think finally it's a long video. It does cover quite a lot of things, and it's about half an hour in length video. So we go through the unboxing, what the 4070 series or the Super series is about. We talk about this card specifically, its fan setup, noise profiles, all that kind of stuff, and the usual stuff you'd see on an unboxing channel. Then we go into the results. I have done what I should do in every video, really, and I've put timestamps in. So if you don't want to see the unboxing, or you don't want to hear the blithering and blathering, you can just go to whichever particular game that you're interested in, watch the footage, look at the benchmark results, and see if it's right for you. Ultimately, that is probably the best way of doing it. So you can choose to watch as much or as little as you want to. So that was that. Other stressful things. What else did I have that went wrong? I had one of those typical things. Now, we've probably all done this before or had this before. When you get an email addressed to you, but from yourself, like one of those spoofed spam emails, So I had an email in my inbox from Mike at Mike's Unboxing to Mike at Mike's Unboxing. And it's that typical thing where it's like, oh, we've captured your accounts, blah, blah, blah. I know your passwords, all that sort of stuff. And it's like,
What you did last summer.
I really don't need this right now. So realistically, those types of emails where they spoof the sender thing to make it look like it's come from you, and they say, oh, I've sent this from your own account, you should be worried, blah, blah, blah. Basically, those kind of emails you can delete. Normally they come with like an attachment, and they say, oh, I've got this from your computer. And then you click on the link, and then it does take over your computer. So you never want to do that. Ideally, the best thing to do is either increase your spam filter settings, although it's hard to stop emails coming from yourself. But if you get those things, just delete them. But I thought to myself, well, better safe than sorry, and I probably would advise this to most of you. If you do get one of those emails, it's probably worth going through your accounts and any passwords and just changing them just to be on the safe side. But because obviously nowadays we're going on to various sites and logging on to here, there and everywhere, and apps on your phone, etc., there's passwords everywhere. So it's an absolute nightmare to change them all. So even though I was up to my eyeballs in stress, I thought I'm going to go do it anyway. I'll just go through one by one and go through the whole lot and change them. So I've gone through, I've changed loads of my passwords now. Most of them I can't even remember now. And yeah. You know what it's like. You want a password manager, but then what happens when your password manager gets hacked? Then you're really screwed. So yeah, that was a very stressful time, because I know deep down in my heart of hearts that obviously if they'd taken control of my computer, I wouldn't be using my computer, and I'd look at things like my financial accounts or my YouTube or PayPal or whatever, and potentially it could be gone, disappeared, but everything's working. So I kind of know in my heart of hearts it's not a problem, but there's always that kind of thing. Being a little bit security minded and probably a little bit paranoid as well, it's best to just check these things and nip it in the bud.
Because you were stressed that.
I was stressed anyway because of doing the review. There was something else as well which was going on. I think it's because the cats as well.
No, don't blame them.
They just like they're taking up too much room.
Internet.
Oh, that was the next one. So the next bit is the internet. I started noticing that I'd gone to Discord, and then the Discord image would start loading very slowly. And I'm like, well, what the is going on now? Is my PC been hacked? So I went through all the usual steps. No spyware, no malware, no keyloggers, no nothing. It seems clean and clear, which is awesome. That's what you want.
Then the cat's got the usual blame.
So then I blame the cats for chewing through the Ethernet cables.
Which they haven't.
We've got a router in the front room next to the NAS and all the other electrical network stuff. And I was doing my tests on the Wi-Fi setup. It's got its own built-in kind of testing thing, so you could see the speeds. And it was weird because the internal speeds were great, but it was the external speeds which were bad. So I'm thinking, right, if the internet speeds externally are crap, it's either going to be my cable modem, the router, or the cables connecting them, realistically. And it was weird because I'd do the speed test and I'd get like a really good score, and I'd think, great. And I'd run it again a couple of seconds later and it would be like a third of the speed. It's like, what is going on here? I really couldn't understand it. The bizarre thing was at the end, it was not the cats. I tested all the cables with my cable tester. It turned out that, well, I can only assume that because that room is one of the colder rooms in the house, and also there's an air brick vent not far away from it, my theory is that the actual contacts on the Ethernet jack had corroded. Because I unplugged it from one port and plugged it into the port above it, and it worked straight away. Speeds were back to normal. So, same cable, same everything, literally just moving from one port to another, improved it. And I can't, thanks Pops, I can't see any obvious signs of like rusting or oxidization, but I'm just assuming because of the quite high humidity in that room, possibly because the cold as well, maybe there's some condensation or whatever, and it started rusting because it is copper contacts after all, or whatever. So yeah, that was it. Skystalker says, I had Discord issues this week. Well, I think a lot of people have actually. George said earlier that his the Discord media engine or whatever isn't working well. So if you post a video or post an image, sometimes it won't load, but I think that was it anyway. I think George was having problems with this because we were having problems with him anyway. Wait, Otis? No, it's not a snake or a worm, it's a cable. And it's very important for the longevity of the stream.
Come say hello.
There's Otis.
Forward. Is he showing?
Yeah.
Dave's airing his monkey.
There's the little boy. Stuart says, my only password is incorrect because I get the reminder your password is incorrect.
But somebody said, how can anyone take over your stuff because you have to have text or whatever to log in. But when all my accounts were gone, they don't worry about that. It's only if you're trying to log into your own account you get all that.
That's it. Hey Dave Aiken, sorry I saw you come in the chat. I didn't say hello. My bad. Ugly Bob says, all the time Dave Aiken was outside on his laptop downloading torrents on Mike's Wi-Fi. Darren Gilholm, how you doing? Says hi. Otis on the murder fluff. So anyway, this is I'm not allowed to say anything because I don't want to destroy the NDA agreement on my first outing with MSI for a flagship, well not flagship, but like a new launch, day one release. But I think it's pretty obvious that based on the current pricing and what we know these are likely to be at, this is definitely a big step in the right direction. So if you are kind of on the fence and you're umming and ahhing and you're not too sure, but you would like to treat yourself, I think day one, get your pre-orders in as soon as you can before they sell out. That is my objective response to my experience with the card. Now, obviously, I can't say anything else, but I would suggest if you are thinking about it, pre-orders are the way to go, because I think they're going to sell out quick, or they're going to go up very quickly. Shearer69 says, spam is a pain. I get loads saying something is expiring, like McAfee or Netflix. Yeah, I get those.
Especially TV license.
Oh yeah, TV license. Like your TV license is about to run out. No, it's not. It ran out 3 years ago, at least, when I cancelled it. Matthew Day says, scalpers. There will be scam scalpers, definitely. Ordinary Dude says, I'm more interested in Battle Mage. I am also. And I think the two are going to compete well. And I think, I don't know why, but I've had a vision from Dog above, and I had a weird dream where Nvidia was number 1, Intel was number 2, and AMD were chasing up the rear. And that was a weird dream, but it might be a premonition. Because I think Intel are doing all the right things in all the right places. And I think it's just going to get good. It is going to get good. And speaking of which, for those of you that watched any of the CES coverage, did any of you see the MSI Claw? This is a new handheld gaming PC which is built entirely with Intel inside, basically. So you've got the new Intel Meteor Lake processor, and also you've got a Intel Arc GPU, or mini GPU, inside. It is faster than the Ryzen's, so it's basically faster and higher spec than your ROG Ally and also the Legion Go, but it looks like it's going to be the same price. And arguably, if it's MSI, it's going to have MSI Center and it's going to have Mystic Light. So immediately I'm kind of ding, ears are pricked on that. So I am very, very much excited to see that. I actually did consider one of those mini gaming PCs. Not that I actually game a lot, but sometimes just being sat in front of the computer all day long, it's a pain in the ass, literally. So it would be quite nice to have a handheld gaming PC which I can maybe take it to the garden, sit in the other room, whatever, and also use it as a PC. So I can answer the YouTube questions, I can check on videos, I can do all that sort of stuff because it is basically a PC as well. And I quite like the idea of it. But I kind of like, I looked the ROG Ally, I was kind of, maybe. But then it seems that the controllers have quite a lot of latency, which I'm not particularly keen on, controllers not having, having poor latency. So it's going to be interesting to see how the MSI one comes out, because it does appear that they're using Hall effect sensors in the joypads, which is definitely a good thing. Which potentially leads me on to another subject, and that is keyboards with Hall effect switches, or how do you pronounce it? I don't know. I'm supposed to be reviewing it, but I don't know. Is it Hall effect or Hall effect? I don't know. How? Open the bay doors. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. I don't know. Dave Andrew says MSI Claw looks good, but should be AMD based. Dave Andrew says Hall as in hallway. I thought it was Hall effect. Okay. Skystalker says, weirdly, Intel might actually save the enthusiast market for GPUs. They seem all in with them. That was another thing as well. I was watching a certain streamer last week, and somebody asked a question in their chat saying, what do you think of Intel Arc? And the hosts said, oh, Intel Arc's dead. It's been discontinued. And it's like literally the same day, I think, or the day before, they were announcing that they were going to talk about Battlemage at CES. And a couple of days before that, or a week before that, they actually said that the Battlemage dies have gone to manufacturing. So, unless something goes really, really wrong, I can't see why they'd throw that amount of money in the skip. So, yeah, anyway. Moving on. Anyway. Antonio's with us. How you doing, Antonio? Just noticed there. Shearer69 says, an ARC A770 will give Nvidia a run for its money. They are better for video encoding. I wish I'd have gotten the 16 gig A770. The 8 gig one is good, but it does struggle sometimes with Premiere Pro. Although the RX 6800, which I've got in there now, is absolutely useless. Of all of the graphics cards that I've bought over the last 2 to 3 years, the 6500 XT and the RX 6800, I think, are amongst the top of the tier when it comes to regret. I regret those more than I regret the ARC cards. Anyway, moving on. Let's move on. So anyway, yeah, talking about Hall effect. So Hall effect is a very cool concept, because in a switch, basically, it's a magnetic field or magnetic force. So in a traditional switch of any sort, then you have like an analog movement. So like in a keyboard switch, you press down, a bit of metal hits another bit of metal, they make contact. It makes a clicky noise sometimes, or it gives you like an indentation. That is what registers your key press. This is where Endgame Gear have come in. This has actually been sent very recently. Endgame Gear, this is their KB65HE, HE standing for Hall effect. And this is a UK layout Hall effect gaming keyboard in the 65% nature, which actually I prefer slightly because you've got arrow keys. And this is using the Gateron key switches, so Gateron Hall effect key switches. And I'm pretty sure you can actually swap these out almost universally with any switch, but the software just won't work with others, I think. Something which is really nice about this sort of Hall effect keyboard is, with a traditional normal keyboard, depending on what switches you've got, there's like a predefined level of basically how far you have to push it and how hard you have to push it to get to a certain point. Which is fine, because people kind of get used to whatever works for them. So if you're typing, you probably want something with a slightly longer stroke, so you don't do accidental key presses, whereas with like really twitchy gaming, you probably want the key switch to actuate a little bit higher to give you that little tiny bit of a competitive edge, so you press it really quickly, or you don't have to basically hardly touch it at all and it will register. You can't do that with a normal keyboard. You can't change the depth. You have to have some sort of Hall effect, which is what this does. So you've got the option of having between 0.1 millimeter or up to 4 millimeters of travel. So depending what suits you, what suits your fingers, etc., that is what you can do. You can choose wherever you want to go. Another thing about this keyboard, which is nuts, and when I looked at this, first of all, I looked at it on paper, and you're probably thinking the same. It's like, it's another keyboard, Mike, it's got new switches, yeah, whatever. But if you haven't used a Hall effect key switch, you just don't know what you're missing. It's a completely different ballgame altogether. It's like what you guys were saying, when you go from like 60 Hertz to 165 Hertz on a monitor, it feels different. It isn't something that you necessarily have to have.
0.1 millimeters.
Yeah.
Sky was...
Yeah. 0.1 mil. Yeah. I think it says that. I should look at this actually. I'm sure it's 0.1. I have to read the instructions, but in the software I'm sure it was that. So anyway, let's get this thing out. Now, this is constructed, like most keyboards are typical construction. So you've got a keyboard like this, it's plastic, you've got a top deck, you've got your keys, then you've got a bottom section, you've got the membrane and all that stuff in between, you've got screws to take it all apart. What Endgame Gear have done here is something very different, and they've basically taken one solid lump of aluminium and had it CNC machined and have everything stuffed inside of that piece of milled out CNC aluminium. So this is a heavy keyboard. Bearing in mind this is only a 65%, so it is actually quite small. Comes with a nice little plastic cover to keep dust out, which actually is important because Hall effect switches are great, but their weakness is dust and dirt because they're an open switch effectively. So actually having a plastic cover to keep the dust and dirt out of your keyboard whilst it's not in use is actually useful. Something else about Hall effect keyboards is the amount of key switches they can do. So if you're looking at some of the best like Cherry MX switches or Gateron switches on the market, you're looking at somewhere around about 40 to 60 million key presses. That is what they're rated for. When you look at Hall effect keyboard switches, they take that and basically add a naught on the end, and then some more. So these key switches, allegedly, are rated for 150 billion key presses. Billion with a B. That's a lot of key presses. I'm sure I'm going to struggle with that in the review when I have to try and test this to destruction, which I'm not going to do, clearly. So,
Move the banner, babe.
Oh yeah, let's move the banner. So just to give you an idea, this thing is very, very solid. And in terms of keyboard flex, it's just none. It's a piece of metal. It'd be like bending a car, which is probably not very easy to do. Now, I'll tell you how heavy this is, I think. Yeah, it feels heavier. This keyboard, even though it is only a 65% keyboard, weighs 1,050 grams. So this is a kilo. I think it's heavier than that. It feels heavier. It's just a solid lump. I said to Kath, the moment I took this out of the box, I said, that's not a keyboard, that's a freaking weapon. And it really is. If you hit someone with this, they are not going to get up. So if you're thinking about getting one of these for little Johnny, and he is the type of kid who rage quits on CS2, please, please don't get him one of these, because it's going to be like Wii Sports all over again. There's going to be stories of these things flying through TV screens and windows. It's a beast, an absolute beast.
Hue lateral.
So yes, very good.
A bit off topic, but
Deoxit, Hugh Luttrell says, I've been trying to get some Deoxit. Deoxit is expensive as all hell. I've got a rotary control knob on one of my speaker sets, and it's basically rubbish. It crackles, and I want to get some deoxit for that, but deoxit is like 30 quid or something stupid over here. Anyway, moving on. Hey SC, how you doing? So yeah, basically this is ridiculously heavy. Let me give you some close-ups actually, so you can see what it looks like, because this thing is just badass. It's got an A level in badassery. You can see it's just a solid lump of metal. You can see how it picks up fingerprints because it's actually cold. Because it's been in the box, it's actually cold because it's a lump of metal. This is like having a heatsink in your hand. That's got to be more than a kilo. Just listen to it. Listen to it. That is.
They think you're crazy.
It's a lump. It is literally a lump. Looks like a brick. It feels like a brick. You're not kidding.
Foam from the 90s.
So, keys, what do they sound like? But this, because of it's magnetic, when you're actually typing, you don't realise actually on normal keyboards how uneven or how ununiform the key switches are. Because all key switches have basically a pole which goes down through a switch, and they've all got varying degrees of manufacturing defects or grease or lube or whatever. So trying to get them all to feel the same is really hard to do. But because these are basically maglev, everyone feels pretty much identical other than things like the spacebar and the enter key. So it just feels, it does feel absolutely amazing. And it's actually quite quiet as well. The actual force required for the keys is about 30 grams, and it's about 50 to get it all the way to the bottom past the magnet polarity thing. So yeah, it is an absolutely insane beast. I'm going to light it up. Oh, well done. Yeah.
They want the dealer scales.
The dealer scales is not going to fit on there. So let's zero this out. That's grams.
That's what you want, grams, isn't
It is 1050 exactly. And it feels a lot heavier. So actually, for comparison, how heavy is the Logitech? Yeah, the Logitech, which is a full size and has batteries, is 500 grams. So this is basically twice the weight and like 2/3 of the, well, actually probably half the size if you take into account the full kind of size of it.
£139 at overclock.
It's heavy. Yes, it's not cheap. But then, decent, oh, I say decent, a nice mechanical keyboard these days. Look at something which is relatively kind of generic or run-of-the-mill, like the Corsair. What's it, what's the one that we had? Is it the K75? I think it's the K75. That's like 100 quid, easy.
Rick H.
There is the bad boy lit up.
Rick H.
Rick H. Question, is that for you or review only? Well, that was the nice thing, because I reached out to Overclockers and our contact over there, which I probably shouldn't say his name out loud, but anyway, if he's watching, he knows who he is. Absolutely great guy. And I said, out of interest, this keyboard, what's the deal with it? Is it a review and then return, or what am I doing? And he said, Mike, anything that we send to you is yours to keep unless we state otherwise. And I thought, that's bloody decent, that is. And I like the way that they work as well, Overclockers. Now, they may not always have the best pricing and they may not always have the most stock availability, but in terms of actually speaking to a company and kind of getting advice or just working with them, it's just a pleasant experience. The guys over there do a fantastic job, and they don't ask you to do literally anything. It's kind of like you get an email, oh, by the way, Mike, can we send you such and such? And that's it. And they don't come through with this like, can you say this, can you say that? would you mind doing this? Could you put it with that component? Could you do this? You know, they don't give you any of that. It's just literally they send out and say, just here's a product. It's yours to keep. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, say so, do whatever. Just to be honest and do a review. And actually I do appreciate that a lot, because there are some companies, and I'm not going to mention who they are, but some companies will offer to send you a review sample. Then they'll turn around and say, well, could you say this? Okay, well, I was going to say that anyway, but yeah, I'll give you that. And then they say, oh, how about if we do, it's like, well, that's not really how we work. I do the review my way, and I say things, it's not scripted, it's not like pre-recorded or anything. It's literally, I turn the camera on and I just jabber at the camera for 20 minutes and edit out bits where I go, or, And that is basically it. So I speak from what I feel, which I think is the way that it should be done, and hopefully you guys appreciate that.
Ugly Bob does too. He's got a couple of loose nails in his fence and he use it to hammer it in.
Genuinely, I'm actually tempted to do that in the review, to actually use this to hammer a nail in. Actually, we have wood, we have nails.
Is that why you can't get up?
I am actually tempted to try this now. I don't really want to damage it because it is a very slick thing.
Maybe you should review it first.
But it would be quite funny to say in the review, do excuse the marks in there, but that's where I use it to hammer in nails. That would be excellent. Anyway, so taking a look at the keyboard, it's got, obviously as you can see, it's got shine through keys, which is always a nice thing. The RGB as well isn't like eye-piercingly bright, but it's certainly noticeable. Now I find I'm getting to a certain age now where things are probably not as bright as they used to be. So having a little bit of extra intensity in your RGB is very helpful, and it's not distracting. And I think they've done a really good job on the font. Let me give you a close-up so you can see the font. The font is very, very clear. So even with the RGB going, you can see exactly what letters are which. It's extremely clear.
Is there different RGB mode patterns?
Yeah, there's all sorts of RGB mode patterns. You can change them in the software. I think you can actually change it with the keys as well. I haven't actually tried that yet. Literally, I've only got this, I think it was yesterday or the day before. So I've not experimented with it.
Rolly fingers?
No, it's just the ones I've got normally. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I have a very, very strong feeling that Endgame Gear, I don't know if I should say this, Endgame Gear, I'm going to say it anyway, sod it. I'm pretty sure they've worked in conjunction with Ducky on this, because it feels like a Ducky keyboard. It feels like it's got that premium to it. And also the fact that it comes with like an additional keycap with the Endgame Gear logo on it, which is a very, very Ducky thing to do. And things like the plastic cover, how it was, the outer packaging, even the main packaging, and even actually there was a bag that the whole thing came in, which I think is in here. Yeah. If you've ever owned a Ducky keyboard, you'll know that it comes in a bag, an outer bag like this, with the Ducky stuff on it. So in terms of like Ducky, if you were to buy a Ducky keyboard, similar shape and size, not that they really do one with this much metal, I don't think, you would be paying about 200 quid easily, and that is even with the Hall Effect Gateron switches. So I think it's yeah, I think it's very, very cool indeed. The only thing I haven't noticed here is there doesn't appear to be a keycap puller. It does come with a nice braided cable, USB Type C to Type A.
For your nails.
Yeah, but it doesn't come with a keycap puller. But they're PBT double shot and RGB, and also the fact that they give you a spare one to put over the escape key kind of points you in the direction of that. There's also some what appear to be adjustable feet. So if you don't like it being flat to the ground, you can pull out that rubber bung and stick that in there. Does that fit in there? Yep, there we go. So we can raise up the keyboard a little bit. So if you don't like it being super flat, I actually prefer a keyboard being flat these days. I'm not sure if it's actually a good thing for my my hands or my posture or anything, but actually that might be better. Let's see, can we change the RGB with the function key? Or is it software only? Oh, I just realised I got the function key held down and all sorts of stuff's going on. Have I just killed the stream? Ah! Do I want to turn on claret mode? No, I don't. Go away. Let's go back to there. That's working. So, anyway, there we go. So that is the Endgame Gear KB65HE. I actually said it, just noticed Dave's comment there, saying about big fan of the quality, but just feels too basic for 140 quid. Might be interested if they did a full-size model. I think if they did a full-size model, it would be really nice. And actually, the email discussion with overclockers on this, and I did say 65% isn't really my bag, but I have been using this for a little while over on my desk doing editing and answering emails and stuff, and it is an absolutely glorious feeling actually typing on it. It's just, actually, where is the, let's type something in here. Is that typing right? Oh no, I pressed M too many times. I thought I did. So, it does sound really nice. And when you get used to it, like literally I haven't typed on this. I normally use my MSI keyboard, the GK71 Sonic, which Ugly Bob sent ages ago. And the keys, the caps are a little bit narrower. And it takes a little bit of getting used to because the keys are a little bit closer together. With this, it's a proper full size, well, not full size, what they call it, like a default layout for the keys. So it's got just the normal spacing. It does feel really nice. Bob says, oh, that sounds nice. Better than shouting into a lav mic. Let's, I'll put the microphone here. I'll put the mic here. And I'll clip it onto there. So now you can hear Kath in the kitchen. So let's type something else. Oh god, I can't see what I'm typing. Sorry. Oh, I got the cursor on there. Oh god. Now the trouble is I can't do this. Not too bad. Spell checking on overload area. So, anyway. What are your some of your thoughts, not your thoughts. I'm not very good at typing. But that is just a very, very nice experience. Like for those of you that have watched videos before and you've heard me typing, the Hall Effect keyboard is just it's a different beast altogether, it really is. But I don't get why it doesn't come with a keycap puller. That's like almost offensive. Why does it not come with one? It comes with a spare key, and it comes with the height adjusters as well, but it doesn't come with a keycap puller. That's very bizarre.
Riley says Endgame Gear website, it lists Ducky double shot PBT keycaps for that keyboard.
Does it? That's interesting. So I hadn't seen that, in all honesty. So yeah, I would suggest very strongly that Endgame Gear have collaborated very, very closely with Ducky on this. It looks like a Ducky keyboard. It almost feels like a Ducky keyboard, although those Hall effect switches are something, because you know what it's like when you have, if you get a couple of magnets and you like switch them past each other and you get that kind of feedback feel, that kind of where the polarities go across. Imagine that, but on a smaller version. That's what you get from each one of the keys when you go through. And it doesn't matter where you are. So like if I press the P button, so it's come up there, literally just a tiny little press, and it's come up, and I'm literally moving that hardly at all. Or I can do the whole way.
Fly.
The P key. Yeah. PPP. Spam that chat.
Are those keys removable, like on breaks?
Yeah, they are removable. From what Riley's just said, they are basically Ducky. Ducky PBT keycaps. They do look like Ducky PBT keycaps, to be fair. I need something to get the keycaps off. People are going to cringe now because I'm going to use a metal screwdriver.
Can't you just use a key thing from another?
I haven't got one. Handy. I have, actually. Where is another keyboard? Is there one handy nearby?
Can I just do it with my nails?
You can probably just pull them off anyway. Yeah, try it. Pull them off.
Which one?
Pull them off, Kath.
Tell me what.
Escape key.
Can't be on.
You won't be. And try not to bend it in any direction other than out.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to get in there.
You got it. Well done.
I've bent it then.
No, you won't. It's got MX style stems, so it'll be fine if you've broken it. So.
Okay. Say what I am. You're
Swiss Army wife. Every home should have one. So actually, look at the switch there. I've never seen a switch like that. Let me unplug that a minute. So that is what the switch looks like, and it's completely linear because obviously it's a magnet, so there ain't a lot you can do about that. And there we go. There's Poppy Babs. There's the Endgame Gear keycap.
Oh, Baba.
So there we go. There is the Hi Pops. There's the Endgame Gear keyboard. I think the only thing really stopping me using this as a daily driver is the fact that it doesn't have a number pad. I do use the number pad reasonably frequently, but considering what the keyboard actually feels like to use, I am actually in two minds of whether or not I might actually just go with it anyway.
Was that a hot swap?
I don't know if they're a hot swap. I'd have to look on the website. Let me see if I can pull that. Oh, I can't pull that off. Yeah, they look like they do come out. I'm going to get a keycap puller in a minute. I want to see what these switches look like and whether or not it is. I can't imagine it being soldered. There we are. There's one. I've still got to review this. This is one that Bob sent. It's in the review pile. It's the KT68 Pro. Some of you have probably seen it already. It's been in various videos and background of shots. Did this come? No. Did that not come with a keycap puller? Surely it did. Ah, there we go. It's a little bit, well, I was going to say it's a little bit unfortunate that they didn't send the Endgame Gear keyboard out with spare key switches. But I suppose if they're rated to last at like 150 billion key presses, then there's probably no point in sending out spares because you're never going to need them anyway. Oh, well, that answers that question. Yes, they are hot swap. And for those of you that are interested, I'll show you what the PCB is like. It looks like it's a 2-pin, although I'm not an expert at this. And it looks like they're pre-lubed as well, because there is a little bit of lube on there, which maybe you can see. So there is the socket. Get some light in there. And the actual switch itself. As you can see, there is no one of the things that you notice about this straight away is the fact that you don't get any scratchiness, because there actually isn't anything to scratch, because it's basically a magnet.
Really?
I can't see how that goes back in now. Where's the pins there? So it's north facing LEDs. Actually, I don't think there is anything in the switch at all. I don't think there is actually anything. It must be in the PCB. Oh. O'Reilly, where is O'Reilly? What's he asking?
Better do the super chat first now.
Super chat. Let's do some super chat etiquette. Gosh, I'm still at the top of the screen. I see Batman. Use some light, Mike. Yeah. Fingers like Greg sausage rolls. Bless your heart. Michael T with a super chat. Thank you. Oh no, I'm not got that plugged in anymore. Sorry I'm late. Been busy with some home renovations. We'll catch up with this stream later. Mike, Kath, Kitties, and Mothers. Everyone have a great day and rest of the weekend. Thank you, Michael T. You too, and good luck with renovations. And when you're done, come over, because Lord knows we need some renovations here. I thought I'd scratch.
Still.
Oh yeah, sorry. What was O'Reilly's question?
Remember now.
Question: Endgame Gear or Ducky keyboard? Which is 60-70% as a mechanical portable keyboard? What? Which one would I go for? I don't know. If I'm really sold on the Hall effect, the Hall effect switches. They just feel really different. It's a very unusual feeling. Again, it's like when you take two magnets and pass them by each other, you get that weird kind of feeling. And it's kind of almost replicated in the key switches.
Michael Underhill,
it is a very nice typing experience.
Said that's not what Hall switches are, magnets, but you're saying it just feels like that, aren't you?
They've actually said that these are basically magnets.
So they have said that.
So they have said that, I'm pretty sure, in the literature. Maybe I read that wrong. Or maybe I read someone, because I did a bit of research, what are Hall effect keyboard switches and what's like the pros and cons. And people were talking about magnets. Because I'm sure it is basically the change in the magnetic field which registers the movement. So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
And Nick Barnes would like some cheap keyboard ideas for his daughter's birthday. Got any?
Where's that?
I don't think there is an actual question one.
Andy Archer at Nick Barnes. Ugly Bob has some...
To recommend.
I've missed those now. Nick Barnes. Where was that? I didn't see that. Is that further up?
I don't think there is one still.
Oh.
It was just kind of amongst it. But I just wondered if you're talking keyboards, do you have any?
Okay. Keyboard wise, yeah, if you're after something, I don't know if I've got anything budget really, but I'm sure we could hook you up with something. What size did he want? Did he say or not? Or am I making these things up in my brain now?
65% mechanical at budget end.
65% mechanical.
I think. I don't know. Maybe
All right.
I'm reading this all wrong now. I'm skimming.
We're skimming things now.
Ask Nick to just say it out loud.
Stuart Cleary says, I mistakenly popped my chat screen out and I can't get it back. Just close it. If you just close it, press the X at the top on the pop out chat, it will automatically go back. Yeah, Dave Venator says, yeah, the Hall effect is not two magnets passing each other. No, it's a difference in the magnetic force, I believe. Or at least in the form of keyboard switches, apparently it is. Which kind of makes sense how it would be for joysticks, because the Z and Y axis would be a change in the magnetic force. That's what I've been led to believe that it is. There we are. Nick Barnes, I was going to ask for, oh god, this one. Keyboard suggestions for daughter's birthday, but I am a cheapskate. There was, or there used to be, on Amazon, the... Oh god, what was it called? Bob sent one over ages ago for review. Was it the Jazz? A Jazz keyboard, and it was like pink, or black and pink. And that was I think that was a 60%. I think it was the Red Dragon Jazz, or Jizz. Probably Jazz. I'm thinking about it now after I've said that out loud.
You're thinking about it.
Yeah, the Red Dragon Jazz keyboard. I think that's a 60%. I think that was quite cheap as well. Is it hot swap? Yeah, we answered that. Let's scroll down a minute, see what I've missed here. Gers 1987. When were you born? Question: I currently have a RX 6600 but want to upgrade. I want 1080p Ultra, so I'm thinking of 7600, or do you suggest others? The budget is about £300. I think the difference between the 7600 and the 6600 isn't much. There is going to be a 7600 XT out very shortly. Whether or not it's going to be £300 or not, I honestly don't know. But that might be worth taking a slightly closer look at, maybe. £300. The £300 graphic card market is quite a weird one at the moment, because you've got things like the Arc A770 16 gig, which is going to be arguably better than the 6600, but I don't know whether it'll be a big enough jump. And also, you do have to take into consideration, you have got that kind of Intel learning curve tax associated with it. So you will be using a little bit more energy to run the card. You're possibly going to be using more wattage, obviously, as well. And the drivers, the learning curve for the drivers. Although, having said that, I can honestly say I don't think I've experienced... I'm thinking a little bit more carefully now before I put my thumb in it. But I'm pretty sure that I don't, or have not had, any issues in any games whilst using the Intel Arc graphics cards. I can't think of any issue that I've had which would be directly attributed to that particular model of card. Oh, come on, keyboard box. There we go. Why does it not have... Right, quick start guide. Oh, changing the bloody RGBs. That, I think, is going to be done in the software only. Seems weird. You'd think that they would allow you to do that actually on the keyboard itself, which I guess also would be another reason to think that this is actually a ducky keyboard, because ducky keyboards, I'm pretty sure you can't change the RGB without using software. So that would make some more sense.
Everybody's got Nick to watch the video on the Red Dragon Fizz. And
oh, the Fizz, that was it.
leave a comment as to what big brand you are.
What, in the video?
Yeah.
It was the middle of summer, wasn't it? I remember.
I clicked on it.
I vaguely remember filming that video in the garden. I think. Did I film that one in the garden?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Yeah, you did.
Did I? Oh shit, that's hot.
Or did you? I thought you did. I saw them just now. That looks a bit clammy.
Ooh. Yeah, I did film most of that out in the garden. What shade of brown am I there? It's hard to tell on CAF's monitor, but I'm guessing probably Dulux Magnolia, maybe. Or a hint of beige.
Actually,
you could use the color picker in Adobe Premiere. Coupon.
1 year ago.
Isn't it? That's more than a year ago, surely. Yeah, because it just rounds it up, doesn't it, on a lot of those videos.
Let's
Right.
go to
let's have a look at the chat a minute.
The actual video and see what year, because we didn't get any sun this year, did we? Or last year? It's got to be 2020.
David Aiken says, Gers 1987 might be worth looking at used cards. Could easily get a 3070 for that money. Yeah, actually, you could. If you go to gpuused.co.uk, they've actually got a RTX 3070 in the MSI Gaming Trio, which is actually a really nice card, for £289, I think, at the moment. And that's with free postage. So that might be worth a shout.
Flamey. That's 23rd of June 2022.
It's getting hotter in here.
I'm not putting any more on.
It's 23.2 degrees and it's currently 53% humidity.
I'm not putting any on for an hour.
Gear Dog. Adjust actuation point of each switch, RGB and layout via software. Ah, there we go. Yeah, that is the thing. You can actually adjust the individual keys. Every single one you can adjust the actuation point. So if you want maybe the alphanumerics to be higher sensitivity, you can do that and then set maybe the enter key and spacebar to a little bit less sensitivity. Whereas with me, when I was typing just now, obviously I accidentally touched the tab key, the shift lock key, and that was on. So you could make it so the shift lock key needs a little bit of a harder press so you don't accidentally get your... Yeah. So anyway, there you go. But yeah, I think it's a really good keyboard. I'll move on. Anyway, Poppy, because I usually have a keyboard land on you and it's fucking heavy. And I better put this one away as well. I still need to do the review on this. This is the KT68 Pro, which Bob sent over. This thing is nuts. So let's go into wireless mode. It's got its own boot up sequence and everything. This thing is very insane. This is the kind of like almost the polar opposite of that other keyboard. It's still got very nice mechanical switches and all the gadgets and gizmos. A plus point on this one actually comes with a keycap puller for a start. But the other thing is you can actually adjust all the RGB from the keyboard very easily if you find the function key, which is that one there. And I think, yeah, brightness you can do on the up and down arrows.
But not on that top bit.
When it gets to the top bit, you can do it. Yeah, the top part you can't change though. The top part can only be changed in software, which is a little bit of a nose. That's your speeds and different styles. You can turn it off or change. Actually, let's have a comparison with typing. I'll probably type better on this. Let's go to...
What, with the cover off? Mine's a bit delayed now.
Did I spell that right? This is the Mechanic KT68 Pro. There we go. I did it. I did a thing. And that was with the lights off. Which one do I want? That one. No, no, no. Sorry, I'm hypnotising myself. Ah, that's the one. That's the one I like. Oh, I've turned the top light off now. You can do that as well if you want to turn the top light off to save some battery, because this is on Bluetooth and I'm pretty sure it's still, yep, it's still connected. I keep on meaning to review this and I keep on connecting it up, and you can see there it is connected. So this works on Bluetooth and also wireless in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. So yeah, a very different thing. There we go, there's a PayPal donation come in from Stuart Cleary and they sent us £20. It says, roll on the summer. Definitely. So I can get a little bit of colour. That would be nice. And we'd all get a bit more warmth. It feels like summer in here. 23.2 degrees. That is normally what it is in here in the summer, isn't it, roughly? Like 23, 24 degrees.
Not last year, but yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Deathstroke says that is an epileptic fit waiting to happen. I just realised actually, I never knew it had that. It's a good job I waited. I always thought that I saw this button on the top, and I think that is, yeah, to minimise windows. This is the anti-porn thing. So if you're watching something on Netflix or whatever, YouPorn, and someone comes in, you don't want them to see it, you just, boom, and it closes down all your windows. How cool is that? Anti-porn. Happy days. Or if you're watching flat earth videos, you might want to do that. But also it's got a volume. It's got a volume control on the side. I didn't even. How did I never notice that? Because I was thinking about the review when I was doing it. I was thinking the only thing that bothers me is it doesn't have a volume control, which would be really handy. But it's actually got a volume control on the side, which is really good, and you can push it in for muting. That's freaking awesome. And it actually feels quite nice as well. How did I not notice that before? Anyway, there you go. So that is the Macanike KT68 Pro. USB Type-C, also wireless, Bluetooth, wireless, 2.4 gigahertz. Removable hot swappable switches as well. I can't remember the switches on this. I think these are custom switched to Macanike, based around the Gateron switches, I believe. Ice white, I think they were. Yes, Kath.
Q lateral, and also Rolly Fingers asked something earlier, but you didn't do it.
Sorry.
Can ask him to do it again.
Do it again, Rolly. Rolly Fingers, whatever it was. Nick Barnes says, strangely, Mike, at the start of tonight's stream, you said it was freezing. Did I? It was freezing in the world and in general, and if you go outside, it's like minus whatever it is. It currently says on the screen, outside is 0 degrees. So it's currently 23.2 degrees hotter in here than it is outside. So that would be like, that's even worse than going on a plane from air conditioning into the sun. David Underhill says 23 degrees C in here, and that's Australia. Arale is at 27.7. How do you live at 27.7 degrees? That's nuts. Sorry, Hugh's question, I should ask that. Hugh, let's press the keyboard. Mike's Unboxing, I was watching a review, they mentioned the 8000G AM5 APUs. They were showing a chart of the processor with a part I did not understand. Have you been tracking anything about them? I have to some extent. I'm still waiting for all of the kind of information to come in, but it does appear that the AM5 desktop APUs, the 8000 series, are looking to be actually quite good. And if you take a direct comparison of what is available in the laptop market, basically the laptop version is a slightly cut down, well, not slightly cut down, but it's more a case of it's more thermally controlled, because obviously laptop, thin and light, desktop, big huge tower. So they've actually shown some results where the desktop versions of the same chips, they don't have that same thermal limitations, so they can stretch their legs a little bit further. And actually they look to be very good. So yeah, very, very good to see that. They've also got built in the NPU, the Neural Processing Unit, which is going to be something which we're going to see going forward. Now, you'll probably see it first. I think you've probably seen it already in some places from the Nvidia announcement, because it said about AI. So what they're doing is they're going to be building AI into game engines now. There's a Nvidia kind of bolt-on or add-on that you can add to modern games, where if you're in a situation like, say for instance in Cyberpunk, you go up to a character and you talk to them, they always come back with like pre-programmed or predefined comments, or like a thing on repeat. And you can go back to the same person a few times, and eventually it gets to the point where the system knows you've done it a few times and it says, look, just stop bothering me, man, or that kind of thing. But with the new NPUs and the kind of the neural engine built into the games, it can actually be context aware. So if you go up to a character in a game, you can actually speak to them with your microphone and say something along the lines of, do you know where X character is? Or do you know where the hidden treasure is? And they can actually come back to you. It basically sends your text down to the neural processing engine. It converts it into the large language model. It decrypts it online. It then sends it back to the character with an appropriate response for the game engine, and then says it back to you, and their face matches what they're saying. It's absolutely incredible technology. It's scary as all hell. Let's be true. It's like you're kind of almost having a live conversation with someone. It's pretty nuts. And also, they've said that because of the way that the large language model works, you don't get the same response twice, or unlikely to. So if you go in and ask a certain question and then go back and ask it again, you might get a different answer, or you're likely to get a different answer. So that actual, the decoding of the information from you speaking into the game is being done by the NPUs, or probably by tensor cores on Nvidia cards. I'm not too sure what Intel's version is called, but they have got something like it as well, like some AI core. So yeah, it's very cool technology. Scary, but very cool. Yes, Gav?
S.
S.
My Gigabyte.
You've kind of answered your own question, I feel, there. S.
I think they're asking, is there anything they can fix it?
My Gigabyte 5700 XT stopped working 2 months after the warranty period got over. Should I get a new GPU? Now, it depends on your level of skill, your abilities, and also what is actually wrong with the card. It might be worth, if it's out of warranty, to maybe have a look at trying to fix it yourself. It might be something relatively straightforward. Yeah, join our Discord if you want some kind of ideas and help and that kind of stuff. The link is now being posted into the chat, so you can join up there. Yeah, it depends what's happened to it. It might just need a BIOS flash or something just to kind of resurrect it. If it's completely dead, it might be an electrical fault, in which case you might have to get a soldering iron out and maybe put in a new resistor or capacitor or something. But it depends on your level of expertise and diagnostics, really. But I wouldn't give up all hope, but if you've got the money to spare and you're thinking of getting a new graphics card anyway, then hey, buy a new graphics card and stick the old one on eBay or something, put parts, spares or repairs, and see if anyone gives you an offer for it. Skystalker says NPU, neural processing unit. Correct, I believe so. David Aiken says it's 19.5 degrees there. In the hallway, it's about 17 degrees. But this room, because the wood burner, is bloody hot. 52, oh, it's dropped down 0.1 degree as I was looking at it. 17.6 in the hallway. You don't want a hallway to be warm anyway, do you?
David Jones is still there.
Rakesh is there. Says hi there, dear Kath and Mike. How you doing, Rakesh?
Can I show you them again?
Go on then. Jay Gordon says not enough AI at CES. I think it got, yeah, I thought there was going to be a lot more AI stuff or more enhanced stuff, but it didn't seem to be the case. I was quite surprised. Okay.
I've rattled your cage now.
What's O'Reilly said? It should be noted according to AMD's own product pages. What was the... Oh, NPU for AMD AI feature. Basically, NPU is your Ryzen AI support. Yes, that is absolutely right. Stuart says, very hard to warm a hallway up like the rest of the house. Yeah, because it's, well, yeah. Our front door there's got a bizarre gap at the bottom which lets in air, which it shouldn't do. Yeah. Right, let's see other things at CES which actually have caught my attention. Now, something which I don't like, but I think I will grow to love, is MSI's Project Zero. Now, you've probably seen it from other vendors as well. The MSI one was the one that I noticed primarily, because I am somewhat of an MSI fanboy at the best of times. So Project Zero, for those of you that don't know, is essentially trying to limit or reduce the amount of wires which are visible at the front of your PC. So basically like a show PC. So things like your fan connectors, your main power connector, your SATA cables, your EPS cable, all that kind of stuff is now been routed to the back of the motherboard. Which, of course, if you're a normal human being, the first thing you're going to be thinking to yourself is, why, that is a stupid idea. Because most motherboards are designed with modern ATX cases in mind, or vice versa, which you'd be absolutely right. But there are some manufacturers, MSI included, and actually even Thermaltake, who have made cases now which do have the ability to use those types of motherboards. So they've essentially re-released a couple of cases. So there's the Series 330, which is a new version of the Series 300, which actually has the cutouts already in it to accommodate most, and I should say most, Project Zero type boards. Because of the way that Project Zero works and the whole kind of thing behind it is that the whole thing behind it is the fact that
Hello, George.
no one has ratified a standard on it yet. So there's no kind of de facto thing. And obviously you've got things then like micro ATX, you've also got ITX, all the different motherboard sizes, shapes, etc, etc. So it's actually very difficult for a a case manufacturer to cover every single eventuality, as you'd probably expect. I'm not sure what's going on here. So anyway, I'm detracting from my own brain here. Why does that? Oh, that goes that way. I'm not very good at this. I've not had much practice. That was definitely the box, not me.
How does it smell then?
Oh, what have I hide? Oh, did I not turn that keyboard off? Oh, I did.
Uncle Bob said, all those PCs, 2 humans. No wonder it's so hot in there.
His fucking.
But we've got 6 cats.
6 cats. Anyway, there we go. Okay, S, I get you. Yeah, you might have to join our Discord for that. We'll have a look. I've already done that. So, yeah, the Project Zero thing does look to be quite interesting. And if it makes cable management easier, then I am behind it. I had this conversation, I think it was with Valletta in one of the comments, and she's saying she's really looking forward to it. And I'm like, well, there's already enough kind of problems in the PC industry where there's incompatibility. And my fear is that adding this is going to be another thing. So I know 100% without any kind of hesitation, ironically, that the Discord is going to be littered with it. So there's going to be people, I've just built my new PC, blah, 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 and it's got all these holes in it. Or I've just bought this new motherboard and I can't connect anything up. Because they bought a motherboard which is like the Project Zero stuff, and they bought a case which is like maybe a Corsair 4000D or something, which clearly isn't going to support that sort of thing without a revision. So that is going to be what I think is going to be happening, a lot of it. There'll be a lot of people who will fall into the trap and they'll buy stuff which it could be avoided because it's not entirely necessary. But it still is kind of nice that you can do it. And if it's executed well, it can look very nice. But like I said, getting it to be ultimately compatible with every motherboard is going to be hard because cutouts are in different places. There's some which are relatively universal. So if you take a chunk out of the bottom slot, you're going to be your HD audio, USB 2s, probably a couple of addressable RGBs, front panel connectors, etc. But then you can't really scoop out the entire bottom row without strengthening the backplate because you're going to have like only 2 little tiny bits which are holding the back in. So again, it's going to be not as easy as you think to actually get it to work properly. So I think there is going to be problems with it one way or another. But let me know what you think about it. I'm still unsure. In fact, MSI did reach out to me about a month or so ago and said, we've got our MSI Project Zero motherboard and case for review. Can we send it out to you to do a launch video on it? And I was kind of like, to be honest with you, no, I'm not really interested, and I don't think it's a good idea anyway. But the more I've seen it, and the more I've seen that other manufacturers are kind of latching on to the idea, at least there's more support, which I think is going to be an important thing. You cannot make anything in the PC industry become a standard unless it has support. Look at RAM bus memory. That was something which was not supported and went out almost as quickly as it came in. So that is, I think, is going to be a key thing. But I am going to take on the case and the motherboard, and I am going to do a review on it and see what it's like, and give it like a fair kick of the tires and see what it's like. I might grow to love it. I might try it and never want another different case at all. I suppose I do have to try it to start with. But yeah, interested to see what your thoughts are on it. See what your thoughts are on it.
Michael Jackson, then.
Chris Hartford says 20 plus years of ATX standards. They could change the dodgy 24-pin plugs for a start. That's the thing. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, we've all become so accustomed to the 24-pin power connector. If they were to change it, you're still going to have that overlap where you're still going to have an absolute ton of 24-pin cables in the wild. Then you're going to have a new standard of some sort. It wasn't too bad when we went from 20-pin to 24-pin because it was basically the same thing with a couple of extra pins chucked on the end. And you could buy adapters for existing power supplies. Some motherboards actually came with adapters in the box. So it wasn't such of a big deal because it was just an enhancement of an existing connection. I think to change the 24-pin connector in its entirety, very much like the 12-volt VO system, I think that's going to take a little bit more of a major shift. We'll see. Aletta says a PC with all the cables in the back would be a dream come true. It would be, but again, also it's going to be one of those things that if you consider some of the cheaper PC cases where there isn't a lot of room in the back of the case, those are never going to see it. Or they will put it in and then you'll be absolutely screwed because you won't be able to use it. And I'm trying to think, there's other things like, especially on modern motherboards, that are in a very odd place which would be hard to replicate. Because essentially it's all around the outside edge. I'll be glad to see USB Type-C go and do one. But again, the USB Type-C port, traditionally on most motherboards, is about that big and sticks out directly. So you're going to have a decent amount of room so you don't have like a really bad cable bend going on. But there's a potential for it, definitely. Gary says it's minus 22 in Illinois. Jeez. How do you guys put... Well, I suppose it's not too bad in America because you've got cheap energy across, so you can just crank up your heating. We haven't had heating on in the house today, other than the wood burner.
But even this whole week we've only had it on.
George says he's freezing, to be fair.
But he can come down and get by the fire. Which he has done.
Siggy Johnson says, I can see the new Nvidia cards are going to be for more than MSRP. A Ventus card at $100 above MSRP. I don't think that's going to be the case. And actually, I could almost... Well, I don't know 100%. But I'm pretty sure that the one that I'll be reviewing, which isn't an MSRP type card, that is basically an overclocked edition. And it looks like that will be somewhere in the region of about $650. At least that's what it's looking like. So for a Ventus card to be more expensive than a Gaming X Slim, which it won't be because there's... For MSI cards going forward from the 40 series, you've got, I think it's 6 tiers. There is the Ventus, then you have the Gaming X, then you've got the you've got the Ventus, then you've got the Gaming Slim, then you've got the Gaming X Slim, then you've got the Gaming Trio, then you've got the Creator, I think it is, and then I think the Supreme at the top, or Supreme.
4080 Ventus going for, I can't read because that part's in there.
Oh, it was 4080 Ventus going for $1,100. Yeah, the super cards will... Cheers. Cheers, Hugh. Hope the weather gets better for you. Dave says they have a design for the 24-pin replacement. It's the ATX 12 VO cable. It's a 10-pin cable. Now, if I was a conspiracy theorist, which potentially I am, if you think that the whole Project Zero thing is designed to have the cables going towards the back of the motherboard, is that just priming us ready for the 12 VO switchover power supply wise? Because with the 12 VO power supplies, all of the power connectors are going to be on the motherboard rather than on the power supply. So there's like one lead that goes from the power supply into the motherboard, and then the motherboard powers everything else off of that. So is this priming us ready for 12 VO and cables to be on the back of the motherboard? That would make a lot of sense. Aletta says, for other cases, there's a Dremel. Yeah, that's true, but realistically, like, unless you're a modder, taking a Dremel to a case is slightly extreme. I can honestly say, in probably all of my years of PC building, the times I've actually taken a Dremel to a PC or a jigsaw or a saw, or like a hole saw or something, it's probably only like 3 or 4 times ever. And maybe 1 or 2 of those times were because it was, I needed to make a very small modification rather than just a drastic big cut.
And didn't one of those times you shake the table so much the camera fell on the floor?
Yeah. Aletta says, on CES I saw Cooler Master have square hardline tubing and matching square fittings. That seems odd. And I'm not too sure, there must be a reason for it, but I don't know why you'd have square fittings. Because compression wouldn't work as well on a square as what it would on a circle, because you can't really tighten it up. So it'd have to be like a push fit connector. And also, I don't think water flows as well in a cube as it does in a circle. I think with a square you get too much turbulence because of the right angles. Don't know. Maybe we should try and get some square toothpaste. See if it comes out the tube square. See what the deal is. Yeah. Dave says all Nvidia cards other than the 4090 have been possible to buy at or under MSRP in the UK pretty much since launch, hoping the super range follows this. Yes, I agree.
You're missing out.
Stuart says you can use a spanner on a square fitting.
Milk is going on here.
Okay.
Squeeze in.
David Andrew says wombat poo is shaped as a cube. I'm not too sure if that's trolling or not. Maybe it is. Something else which we've noticed as well recently, I should say, from CES, there hasn't been any real improvements in drives, like SSDs. And also there's been some incredible price increases when it comes to M.2. Huh?
It's the truth.
It is the truth. Okay. Wow. Actual fact. Mad. Those poor wombats.
Square ass.
They have a square butthole.
Are they SpongeBob? Wombats.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
Wombats. Yeah.
Square pants.
So, M.2 SSDs are getting really expensive. Less than a month ago, you could buy a 1TB M.2 PCI Express Gen 3 x4 drive for about £37 here in the UK. And looking at the same drives today on Amazon.co.uk, £20 more expensive. So that is an incredible price jump. And no doubt other people are noticing it as well. David Andrew says SSD prices have started to increase here. It does seem to be, yeah, definitely one of those things.
Charles completely forgot about it.
No worries, Charles. David says I got my 2TB silicon power for $150, already up to $165.
Can they hear the purring?
Probably.
ASMR.
Chris Hartford hoped the NVMe 5.0 drives might push 4 and 3 prices down, maybe too soon. Yeah. Hayden Trent says, yeah, the P3 Plus 512 was 27. It's 37 last time I looked, so that's a third at least. Well, quarter to a third more expensive. Captain White's with us, how you doing? Dutch Jan says that is due to resistance. What, the more expensive drives? David Aiken says, I regret not buying the 2TB 980 Pro SN850X on Prime Day for 90 quid. Stuck with 4 1TB drives in my rig currently. Pain in the ass. Yes, but we might have a slight remedy for that going forward. So, the legends that are Fwat, Lord Fwat, I love the name, that's a great name. So, this is the Fwat FN501 Pro, M.2 1TB drive, PCI Express Gen 3 x4. The people over at Fwat reached out to us and said, Mike, would you like to review one of our drives? I was like, of course. I've actually bought a couple already, so if you're going to want me to review them, then I can certainly do that. So they said, no problem, we will send you one. Now, this is prior to Christmas, and I didn't hear anything back. So at Christmas, I actually went out and bought a couple of these drives anyway, one of which went into a system I sold, and the other one is actually just up there. I'm not sure if you can you see that in the shot? No. Let me grab that. So there is the other one. You see, it's open in the box. So I have actually put my money where my mouth is. These were available for 35 quid with a discount voucher. They have normally been in about the 50 to 53 pounds mark, and they are, as of today, 53 pounds, I believe. So they are essentially the same price as all the other drives of a similar sort of size and capacity and performance. So you've got the Crucial P3 1TB, not the Pro version, just the normal one. You've also got the silicon power drives, the A60s, that sort of stuff. There's a lot of drives on the market, all roughly around the same sort of price point. What does this one do which stands out more than the others? To be completely honest with you, not a great deal. You've got a 3-year warranty, comes with a screwdriver and an M.2 screw. Performance-wise, it lives up exactly to what it says on the tin. So you're looking at 3,500 megabytes read, and no, is that right? Read or write? I always get the read and writes around the wrong way. Read 3,500, write was 3,150, I think. It's got a pseudo cache, so it allocates a little bit of the drive as a kind of pseudo cache. Also takes advantage of HBM, so host buffer memory. And I've been doing some testing with this today. I've been moving around 100 gig files, which I know that you're unlikely to ever do. And especially if you've got a 1TB drive, moving 100 gigs is probably not something you can do every day. Managed to do it. It filled up the buffer quite quickly, so I've basically worked out that the pseudo cache buffer on here is somewhere in the region of about 80 gigs. So around about 80 gigs is partitioned away as being SLC type cache. It's a TLC drive rather than the QLCs, which the Crucials use, which is a little bit cheaper to produce, give you similar speeds but not quite as much longevity because you've got 4 levels rather than 3. So it's just a more densely packed drive. Ideally with SSDs or this type of memory, single level's the best. That's what enterprise levels would use. Then you get dual, triple and quads, and this is a triple TLC drive rather than QLC. So yeah, overall I've been very happy with it. Like I say, I've bought a couple of these already, so I'm quite happy to do a review on it. When the review goes out, I have asked the good people at Fwat if we can get a discount code from Mike's Unboxing viewers, which will be available through Amazon stores, US and UK, possibly elsewhere as well, possibly. I'm not too sure, I've still got work out, but I'm waiting for a reply back. But hopefully we should be able to get these at a little bit of a discount. Now, whether or not it's going to be as good as the 35 quid a drive, I don't know. And there's also a 2TB version as well, should you want to expand it a little bit further. So just a heads up, if you are considering buying a drive, I will try and keep you informed about what's going on with this. If there is going to be a discount code, whether or not it's going to be limited to 1 per customer, I honestly don't know. We still need to work that out. But overall, if you see these drives on the market and you're in and ahhing, do I buy one, do I not? They're actually pretty decent drives, and I have yet to see a problem with it. I actually tested this today deliberately without a heatsink on it, and it didn't get over 40 degrees. Actually, I'm lying. I think it went to 41, but normally it was about like 38 to 40 degrees maximum. So it runs nice and cool. So if you're planning on putting it into some kind of enclosure or some kind of device which doesn't have a great deal of cooling, it's going to be absolutely fine. PCI Express Gen 3 x4 drives don't really have enough throughput to warrant having extra cooling, but if you want to, you can do. But this will be fine up to, I think, about 75 degrees Celsius anyway. So yeah, hitting 40 is absolutely fine. Dave Aikens sent in a super chat, £2. Thank you very much. He says, good night, like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And Gary Siaka, I always get that wrong. Gary S has kindly sent us a PayPal donation of £10 as well. Thank you very much, Gary. Much appreciated. And thank you, David.
That was Gary's to get his full.
Stuart Cleary says, I would feel like a real Fwat buying one of them. It's an awful name, isn't it? It's like a lot of the Chinese companies have got some really, really bizarre names. But yeah, I don't know. I've thought they were just one of these new like fly-by-night companies. I didn't know they'd been around for as long as they have. Apparently, Fwat have actually been making memory modules for like 20 plus years. So pretty much since the turn of the century. Turn of the century. Turn of the century? Decade. Century, decade, whatever. Century. Millennium. Since the turn of the millennium. That's the word I was looking for. Get there in the end. So yeah, since around about 2000, they've been producing RAM modules and stuff. And actually, if you go to Wikipedia and look up a list of all DRAM manufacturers, surprisingly, Fwat are on the list. I thought they were just like a sub-brand that just bought chips from somewhere else, but it appears, no, they are actually a bona fide RAM manufacturer with the likes of Kioxia, Apacer, and all those kind of other unusual brands that you expect to see. So yeah, I was very, very surprised. Now, it seems like good value. They work okay. Like, you can't really go too far wrong. And in terms of performance-wise, if you're wondering, like, does it perform as well as other drives? I was actually testing alongside the Crucial P3 Non-Pro, which is the same spec as this, and they trade blows. So in some instances, because this is TLC, it runs better. On other instances, because it's quad level cache, the other drive is a little bit better, but they kind of trade blows, and there's not really much between them. And unless you go into the real minutiae of latency, then you won't notice the difference at all, to be honest with you. So yeah, definitely worth a look. So I'm quite happy to work with them. David Under says, Fwat was mainly an OEM maker, now selling under their own name. There you go. You learn a new thing every day. Thank you for that, David. Stuart Cleary says, does it work in a PS5? I don't think PCI Express Gen 3 drives have enough bandwidth to work in a PS5. I'm not a PS5 expert, so if anyone's got a PS5 in the chat, please do let me know. I think there has to be a certain amount of throughput, which I think you can only get from a PCI Express Gen 4 drive. I might be wrong there, but I think you need like 4,000 megabytes per second transfer at least. Thank you, Gary. Shame Dave's gone, because he'd probably know, because I think he's done one. He's done a mod on his PS5. So right, what else was there that I meant to talk about? There's many things. It's been, like I say, this week's been the week from hell. It really has. This week has pushed me to new levels of stress. It really genuinely has. I was just looking at my list there to see if there's anything that I've forgotten to talk about, which I don't think I have. What else is there coming up? Oh, bloody hell, the monitor. I didn't mention the monitor. We've got another monitor into review, which some of you might be looking at purchasing. Although you might not want to at the price, because it's not cheap. Feck me, it's heavy. And has it got any stickers on it with addresses on? I think I peeled that off. Yes, I did peel that off. So, following on from the previous monitor review we did for Thermaltake, this has been a bit beat up in the old postage. So this is the Thermaltake TGM i27FQ Fwat. Quad HD, so it's 1440p, fast IPS, 165Hz. Although I've seen other places report this as being 170Hz. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. 1 millisecond response time, take that with a pinch of salt. And it's got 95% of the DCI-P3 color gamut. So that means it should have somewhere in the region of 99% of the sRGB also. What else is on here? Is there any specifications? No, that is about it. So yeah, we'll be doing a review on this one coming up very shortly. For one, I am feeling much more like I'm preferring flat monitors than curved ones these days. Not on the keyboard, but head.
Davy Jones!
Dave's awake.
He's aired out his monkey long enough.
Sorry, Poppy. You can stay there, Baba. So this is Dave. Dave obviously appreciates a nice monitor. So he comes straight out whenever there's a Thermaltake product about. He can't help himself. He's got to be in there. What do you reckon, Dave?
You've got the thing on the screen.
I haven't.
Oh, okay, it's gone. Dave must have taken it off.
Dave, what do you reckon? Is this good? Do you like this? No, you're not drinking my tea. Anyway, so that's coming up soon. It's got like a zero frame technology. So you've got plenty of, well, not much bezel going on. Nice monitor. I think Thermaltake are doing all the right things actually in the monitor world. The pricing needs to be looked at, definitely. These were weird because they come out with this one and also the 32-inch version, which we reviewed already. And they came out and the price was something like about 350 quid, which for a quality panel isn't that much. But if you look at others on the market, there's similarities which were considerably cheaper. So they had a special offer on at scan.co.uk where they were doing both monitors as an introductory price of £249.99, which is a far more palatable experience, like 100 quid off or whatever it was. But it doesn't appear that that offer is currently still on, which for me is troublesome because when you're reviewing a product, you take into consideration obviously the features. This thing's got like a KVM switch built in, so you can run two PCs or your PC and your PlayStation, all that all at the same time, all that kind of good stuff. It's got RGB on the back as well. So this might actually be a newer model. So I don't think the other one had RGB. So you've got RGB on the back there. Also got tilt, swivel and rotate on the old stand there. Nice stand as well. It's very similar to the ROG, the Asus ROG Strix monitor, which is equally expensive. Oh, Dave, you're going to scratch the bejesus out of that, aren't you? Right, I'm going to take this away. You're not allowed to scratch products that have got to be reviewed, because I don't know if this has got to go back or not. Don't scratch the mouse mat. William Bodie sent that and he's a lovely man. He'll get upset with you. My apologies, Mr. Bodie, for the despicable actions of young Lord Fwat here. Right, Fwat? Bless him. The video freezes all the time now. How does it? Sorry. Roly Fingers. There we go. What was your question, Roly Fingers, earlier? Did you have one?
You might have answered it. It might have been that power stuff you were saying.
William Bodie says, too much stress make your hair fall out. Damn straight. I've had a stressful life. This is Davy Jones, by the way. If I hadn't noticed that.
With his Mike's unboxing blue collar.
Stuart Cleary says, too much testosterone makes your hair fall out. Don't know what's the matter with my hair then. Dave Venadrill says that monitor is $499 in Australia, so that equates to £285, which I think is actually a more realistic price. I actually should have done a quick search actually to see how much that monitor actually is now. I think I did the other day and it just come up with that bizarro price. Get away from the keyboard. That's Otis.
With his Mike's unboxing blue collar.
So Thermaltake. 27-inch IPS. TMG 125, there we go. All right, Dave? Come on, give me the prices. I love that on the UK Thermaltake site. It always says no price, and it says this includes VAT. So it's IPS technology, 1 millisecond response time, grey to grey. To be honest with you, grey to grey response times aren't really that applicable. And hey, chill, Dave.
David.
Lord Fwat, get away.
Can't call him that.
Right, press the button there. Let the viewers know there's a CD keys offer. Can you press that one? No, press that. Dave. Right, fine. Don't tell me you've gone to the Actors Guild and you're on strike. Get out of it. You're going to be in Sagra or whatever it is. Get in there. Okay.
No, not okay. He's jumping on.
No, Dave, ass in face. No, not on that one. Sorry. I do apologise. It's crazy here. Mark Barry says, I'm on the lookout for a budget 24-inch monitor. My son's busted his MSI. Oh no, that's terrible. If you actually want... Sorry, the cat just jumped in front of the lens then. I do apologise.
David Jones.
Kath's not doing a very good job of cat sitting.
Grooming Maisie.
I don't care. What was I going to say? What was I even saying?
Right, you're done, Mabes.
I have no idea what I was saying. Google it, no. I've completely lost my train of thought now. Right, let's have a look, see how much I can find this monitor for. Oh yeah, that's right, I was going to say, that's a much better price. 285. I'd be pretty happy to pay that. Much more than that, and it's going to have to be pretty special. Yeah, AWDIT at the moment are currently retailing it for $389.90. Like £400 for a 27-inch monitor, 1440p. It's got to be like the best monitor for that. Come on, here you go. There you go. Here, do you want to sit on my chair? He likes the Boolies chair. I'll tell you what, in terms of chairs, I've got the Boolies one here, which I've actually never successfully done a review of. And potentially I might never now because it's getting skagged. But it's actually lasting better than the other chair. If you have like a leatherette type chair, or PU leather, or fake leather as they call it, with cats around, absolutely useless to get ripped to shreds. But the Boolies chair with this fabric is actually standing up pretty well.
And that's in the room with them.
Yeah, they sleep on it as well. And in fact, if I go out to make a drink or something, I come back in, pretty much guaranteed one of them's going to be sat there. Anyway. Right, Skinflint. So skinflint.co.uk are saying the monitor is £350 and a penny. I am pretty sure... right, Amazon in the US are selling that monitor for $339. So yeah, the UK asking price seems to be way, way out of whack. Which really does kind of... It troubles me. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Mark Berry, budget 24-inch monitor. If you want a budget 24-inch monitor, I've actually got an old 24-inch portable type TV, which takes an HDMI input, which was in our daughter's bedroom, which I'm not using. It's in the front room, gathering dust with a remote control. I'll even throw in some batteries for it, for the remote control. If you want it, it's yours, let me know. But you'll have to collect it, or have some way of having it collected, because it's got a heavy stand on it. And actually, if you look at our early videos, round about a year in maybe, when we still had the green paintwork on the walls, you'll notice that monitor was in the background of all the shots. It was actually in the back on here for ages when we had the Q300 case. That monitor was there as well. Because I actually bought that monitor from Tesco's for a screen, because I couldn't afford a monitor at the time. And it's like 20 or 30 quid or something. But if you want it, you're more than welcome to it. SPG33. Mike, can you please review an Intel 486 like the good old days? I would love to. The old Intel stuff, I actually really enjoy watching some retro stuff, because I find that being in the review kind of business and being immersed in it pretty much 24/7, when I want to relax, I don't watch tech videos, or I try not to. But if I am watching a tech video, I like to watch the retro stuff. So Adrian's Digital Basement, I'm sure that some of you know of Adrian's Digital Basement. Very good channel. I love the stuff he does, really good, very, very mild-mannered, just gets on and does it. He's got no airs or graces, just very, very cool guy. So Adrian's Digital Basement, big shout out to you, sir. It's just a great channel. There's loads of repairs, and he kind of finds like old BBC Model Bs and that are junk, and basically rebuilds them. So resolders caps on, all that kind of stuff, and diagnoses boards. It's fascinating stuff. I could never do it, so I really enjoy watching his content. So yes, when it comes to retro stuff, I would like to go back to the early-ish days, like 1998, maybe 97, 98, for PCs, like the Pentium 3 era, or maybe the Pentium 2 era, that sort of thing. I think that would be really interesting to do.
Rolly Fingers has said it again.
Rolly Fingers, I've got to do Rolly Fingers question, because I haven't...
Waited a long time. He says you have a nice pussy, by the way.
Rolly Fingers, Stormforce UK are an overclocker's competitor and wondered if you have used them. Stormforce UK, no, I have not used them. And I've not, to be honest with you, let's have a look, Stormforce UK, just to make sure I'm talking about the right people. Stormforce UK, if I see the logo, I'll know. Ah, right, yes, Stormforce, okay. So, I think I have purchased a case from them a long time ago. Or have I? I might not have actually. No, I don't think I have. I think I'm confusing them with someone else. Who was that one? There was someone stormed something where, remember on eBay, and they were selling off all their old InWin cases and they had the logos changed. And I bought that one, the glass side panels, and Welsh Tony did as well. I can't remember what it was. There was a brand. It might have been Stormforce back then. But no, I've not used them, to be honest with you. And do they sell individual bits, or looks like they sell parts? PCs in a month, Intel Game PCs. They do location. You can customize your own PC. To be honest with you, they're probably absolutely fine. The only thing is, I think with a lot of these companies that configure a PC, or you spec up a PC, if you've ever worked in retail or any kind of business, you always have that thing that you leave a little bit of wiggle room. So when you leave your specs in for a system, you don't do actual specifics. So like, for instance, if you're a PC seller, you would likely put this PC comes with 16 gigs of RAM. You might even say a speed, but you probably wouldn't say a brand, just in case you can't get hold of that brand for some reason or other. Likewise, you might say it comes with like a GTX 4070. You probably wouldn't say what brand it is either, because you may not be able to get hold of that brand, or they may discontinue that. So actually, I'm gonna have a look. Let's have a look at their gaming PC of the month. And let me put this, I can probably put this on the screen as well at the same time, I think. Desktop stream, can I do that? Yeah, that's right, there you go. You can see the chat on the side as well, so I can see the chat as well. So PC of the month, the Crystal, Intel i7, blah, blah, blah. Tells you all the specs. So yeah, exactly what I was saying there. So the graphics, RTX 4080, no specific model, no specific name. So it could be a Founders. Looking at the actual graphic there, if that is to be believed, I'm not entirely sure what that is. It could even be an OEM. It looks like it's got a bit of green PCB going on there. So it could be one which is custom made for them to a certain price point. Again, RAM, 32 gigs of DDR5. Doesn't tell you the speeds. So let's view and see if we can actually confirm any of the specs here. So, right, storage-wise, yeah, it looks like actually not too bad. So RAM, they've not given you the brands. Storage-wise, I'm guessing they might have a deal with Western Digital for drives, being that they've specified specifically with that. Motherboard-wise, looks like they also might have a deal with ASUS to provide ASUS motherboards. Power supply, they're stating Corsair, so that's good. Cooling solution, so that's the Cooler Master. Although that looks like, that doesn't look like a Cooler Master cooler to me. Oh yeah, it is actually. No, that's a Corsair cooler they're showing in the picture. And those are Corsair fans, I think. Does that look like Corsair fans? Someone let me know in the chat. Let me scroll down. So, oh, Zoo Storm. Thank you, Matthew Day. That was what it was, yeah. Rawley says, in the small print, it's optional Founders, but 4080, but ASUS tough for everything else. Okay. SPG33 says, looks like a 3060 and Corsair fans to me. Yeah, that card looks way too small for a 4080, so... Oh, there we go. I should have read that. All system images are used as an example of a typical configuration. Lighting and internal components may vary. So again, this is a little bit vague, and the pricing is a little bit on the upper edge. Considering, yeah, 13,700, 32 gigs. That might not be too bad actually. I'd imagine we could probably do it cheaper than that. So, yeah, anyway, hopefully that illustrates my point somewhat, that like most manufacturers, that's the thing, you kind of got to take the rough with the smooth. So they might offer you something or might give you a price for something. Very, very common that manufacturers, I knew this when I worked in the computer shop, granted this was like 20 odd years ago, but if someone ordered a PC, you get the build list and you go through it and you pick out the parts if they weren't picked already. And if it comes to a point where there's nothing available, you go to the warehouseman and say, look, when are these due in? Or you look on the computer and say, like, when are these due in? And if there was no ETA, you'd phone up the customer and say, look, we haven't got this in stock. Do you want to go either for something similar, or do you want to upgrade it so we can get the PC build done, get it out quicker? So with some of the smaller companies, maybe you've got a little bit more flexibility. You might have with them. I've not used them, so I can't say specifically, but I probably wouldn't use a PC manufacturer or a PC builder unless it was absolutely necessary. If I had some sort of disability where I physically couldn't put it together, then I think I would probably go to someone similar to this, but I would probably rather go to a local high street retailer, like a small independent, possibly.
Where are they? Is there anyone local to them that would do it?
I don't know actually.
Where are they based?
Yeah, it depends. Whereabouts are you based? I'm interested to hear where you're based, seeing as you're considering using these people.
Because there might be somebody in the Discord who... Is that what it is to build a PC?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry.
Rolly Fingers says thanks for the feedback. No worries. Well, hopefully, I don't know if I've even answered your question. I haven't used them, so I can't say whether they're any good. I would just... Probably one of the first things I do, I just research it and just do a... The thing is, with also again, there's a plus side and a downside. So if you look for specific reviews of a company, like if you type in Google, what are they called, SourceForge, whatever they were. If you just look up and then Stormforce customer reviews, and then look at that. The thing is, most people generally will only add a review or a comment on something if they have a negative experience. So negative comments are always going to be somewhat weighted. Like with a YouTube video. If you see a YouTube video and it's had like 1,000 views and it's got, I don't know, 20 thumbs down.
I don't have thumb down though.
It's probably not going to be that bad a video, because the majority of people can't be bothered to start with. Or negative comments. Actually, no, I'm not explaining this very well. Basically, people will go out of their way to leave a negative comment, whereas if they're pleased with something, it's unlikely it will, because it's kind of expected that you get the service that you've asked for or that you wanted. So it's quite often that bad complaints or complaints in general will be somewhat higher than normal, because people will complain about things, because that's what they do, and especially on the internet. Mark Barry says Trustpilot is a good starting point. Yeah, things like that, any of those review sites. I'm sure there's lots of different ones out there at the moment. Trustpilot is one that definitely does come to mind. But yeah, just investigate the company. You could also as well, if you see anyone who's left a comment and it's a negative one and it seems a little bit vague, maybe even contact that person. Like sometimes there's an option to leave a comment. You could leave a comment for them and say, look, like, can you elaborate what the deal was, or was it rectified after? Are you happy with the service now? Quite often people, if you leave a bad comment, the companies will get in contact with you and try and remedy what it is, because they don't want bad comments.
So if they got a Facebook page.
Yeah, if they got a Facebook page or a Twitter page, always worth investigating that as well, seeing what their feedback's like. Facebook if you're a boomer. Yeah, I think that is a good thing. Kerry Holzman. How dare you say that name in here? Hey Poppy, this is the mum, Poppy. Well, I think she's going to be a mum again. She's getting a bit fat.
Oh, don't.
Festively plump, I don't think. Uh-oh. You alright, kid? No more kittens, please.
Can't get her done until she's finished feeding them, and she's still feeding.
SPG33, Mike, would you say a 12400F and a 3060 is a good combo for a budget 1080p gaming PC? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the 12400F is a cracking little CPU, and the 3060 is a very good pairing to go with that. You put... David says Poppy needs spaying. Yeah, I know.
But we can't do it until she...
Can't do it until she stops breastfeeding.
And she's still... I might just book her in though.
Yeah, I think that's a great combo. 12400F, 3060. Can't go wrong with that at all. Stuart says, I just watched CH this morning for the first time in months. Cringe. I banner on text again. Sorry. That's because I've got this open. I should be looking at that stream. I still need to configure my monitors better so I can actually see what's going on. That would be beneficial. I'm trying to think of anything else that was at CES announced. So we've got the AMD APUs, which are looking pretty decent. We've got some new AMD CPUs on the AM4 platform, just to keep that going, ticking along. That's good. MSI's Project Zero, that was good. Oh, the fans with the LCDs in the middle. What are your thoughts on those? PC fans with LCD screens in the center hub. I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. Is that working? Okay. Yeah. Is good. They're going to be expensive, yes they are. I think they're going to be like probably, I don't know, 30 quid, 40 quid.
Dave, trying to get some food discreetly.
O'Reilly says, no, LCD screens do not belong in the middle of case fans. I agree, but it seems to be something that Leanne Lee are doing. I'm almost certain that I saw some Thermaltake ones as well. No doubt there'll be others. All right, Dave? All right, Pops? Don't bite him. What are you biting him for? Tough love. Yeah, so LCD screens on fans, I don't think... The thing is, like LCD screens on fans, I can sort of understand a little bit. For informative reasons. So if you've got it on like a radiator, yeah, maybe measuring the water temperature and the CPU temperature, that would be possibly useful information. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little bit bizarre. And the thing is, most positions in a PC case are going to be somewhere where you're not going to see it. So Like the front fans, realistically, you're not going to see it unless your PC's facing you. If the PC's facing you, you can have the mesh or whatever in front, so you're not going to see it. The top fans out the top, you're not going to be able to see that unless you're looking underneath like this, like some kind of lemon. So realistically, it gives you maybe 3 positions. So the first position is going to be the back one, which probably isn't the best because most of the dirt and dust goes onto the back fan when it's all being exhausted out, because where the CPU cooler is, blowing in general in that direction. So do you want to have that covered in dirt? Maybe not. CPU cooler, again, is kind of on that angle that you're unlikely to be able to see it very clearly. So that's going to leave you realistically with, if you've got a case where you can mount a radiator on the back wall and the fans are facing forward, so the typical kind of fish tank design cases, or the bigger full tower cases do allow you to put a radiator in that position. So it is going to be a limited thing. You're not going to go out and buy like a pack of 7 of them or 8 of them and deck your whole PC out with LCD screens, because it's just pointless. I don't know. I think it's an interesting concept, and the fact that you can get the technology to do it, it just seems a little bit overkill. But I think the general conception, or the general consensus is that for people who've got a lot of money and they like a bit of bling, knock yourselves out. But I think for probably 75%, if not more, of the marketplace, they just don't make any sense at all. SPG33 says 150 USD for 3 LCD fans. Yeah, that's a little bit much. Ugly Bob says the next thing there'll be sharks with fucking lasers attached to their heads. You never know.
Week with that headlamp on.
I've literally,
Blinding me.
I've been like this. I'll show you now. Oh, that was the other stressful thing this week that I've forgotten about. This has just brought it back to my attention. So, I'm not sure about other countries in the world, but in the UK, it's advisable to have a smoke alarm fitted in your house just in case of some sort of fire. And for a lot of people, us included, I think my head's getting smaller, or this is shrinking.
Probably stretched it.
Stretched it with a big heat.
More on it so much.
That's better. So, we've got smoke alarms in the house which are powered from a little rectangle battery, the PP3 or 9-volt square battery, which is, I'm guessing, is going to be quite common around the world. Let me know. I don't know. Your systems may be differently. So, but in our house, when we had the wiring redone when we first moved in, they said it's probably a good idea that we put mains powered ones in. And that way you can run them off the mains electricity, but also have battery as battery backup. So that way you don't have to worry too much and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, it seems like a reasonable idea. And that way I think there was a way they could be linked as well. So you use one of the wires in the wiring. I think it's the earth wire you send back up, or you run another wire. I don't know. Something complicated anyway. But the electrician did it, put the cables in, and it's been fine for like 15, 16, 17 years, however long we've been here now. 20 years, is it? Nearly 20 years. Yeah. So every now and then I change the smoke alarms out, and they're just like almost modular ones. So you just push a screwdriver into this really hard place, and you can unplug it, plug a new one in, and it's good for another 10 years or so. So those ones, all the time, whenever we're using either the air fryer, the washing up, or just cooking anything really, boiling water seems to be the worst one, and it just sets the one off here, and then that one triggers the one upstairs as well. So then you're like trying to press the button to reset it. It's been an absolute pain in the ass for months, years possibly. Months. So I thought, right, F it, I'm going to buy myself a new set of electrically powered smoke alarms, which I actually have one of them here. This isn't sponsored or anything, this is just me doing shit. So these are made by FireX. They're 70% energy saving, whether that's a thing. So these are mains powered optical smoke alarms with battery backup. The problem with this, which I will show you, is it did have different wiring. So undoing the wiring from the other smoke alarm, because I had to put in, this is the wiring they give you. So I had to connect this up, and I had to put in like a new block connector. So I bought a bunch of block connectors, which I think are down. No, they're not here. Oh, I put them in the other thing. So I got these new little push fit connectors. You just push the wires in, press a lever down, it locks it in place. But the electrician, in his wisdom, God bless him, the Scotch block connector that he used in the loft or in the space there was basically left open to the elements. So two of the screws had rusted and rounded off. So the cable was also really, really, really short. So I had this tiny little hole which I'd cut out, which was enough for basically that to fit. So I had to get my fingers in there to try and get this block connector, get a screwdriver.
Done gynecology now.
It was. I should have been a gynecologist. I really should. It was absolutely horrendous. And I'm there, stood on one of these chairs, stretching up to do it with my head torch on so I could see what was going on because it's so dark in the hallway. And all I can see is all this bloody dust and debris coming down. And I'm like, it's all going on my eyes, up my nose and everything. And the wires were just too short. And I didn't want to trim the wires off any shorter than they were. But I couldn't get them out of the block connector. And it was driving me absolutely insane. So I got to the point where I'd spent about 3/4 of an hour to an hour trying to gently get these wires out of this Scotch lock connector or the block connector. And eventually I was like, right, I give up. Come in here, got the connectors, the crimps, done it. So, right, got to be really, really careful now, because if I do this wrong, there's not enough cable and then it's going to have to be a rewire or something. So I got my wire cutters and it's at a bit of a height and angle, and I just went to trim off a bit of length of cable, and I put it on the wrong bit of the wire cutter and I chopped off another like that much of cable, which I really, really, really didn't want to lose. So that meant that cable was a little bit shorter, so I had to trim them both down. Long story, I'll try and make it short if I can. It was just complete stress because I thought if I mess this up, I'm going to end up having to call in an electrician to run a wire from the hallway all the way through to the fuse box again, and possibly just rip out the ceiling, which I just didn't want to do. So it was freezing cold. Yeah, absolutely freezing cold, and it's just dusty, horrible work. I just really didn't want to do it at all. And we've got like slat and lav ceiling, so it's not like a traditional ceiling where you can just do whatever you want to. It's an old-fashioned plaster and lav ceiling with like slats and stuff. So it's just an absolute nightmare. So that was one of the other things this week which was going wrong. And this was all going wrong at the same time. I'm thinking I really should be finishing off that video. And you know what it's like, just everything gets on top of you a bit. So chances are I'm going to have a cold soon, just to get all this out of my system. But anyway, so there you go. So that is done. I haven't attempted to do the upstairs one yet, but it works. And they work in tandem. So if I press the button, the test button, the downstairs one bleeps, and then the upstairs one bleeps after. So that is all working. Otis, that you're watching me on TV. You're doing what families do when they go out for a meal. You're on your mobile when you could be just having a face-to-face. Don't blame him. I know, the camera does add a few pounds. You're absolutely right. Anyway.
Candy, coming over.
Ugly Bob says 3 of Mike's fingers is the equivalent to my whole fist. Bob says he's been told. Skystalker says, yeah, a smoke alarm is a good thing. If it works. SPG33, square battery, what? Well, it's a rectangular one. It's a PP3, look it up. It's a 9-volt PP3 battery. In Aussie land, it is a legal requirement for rentals and soon all houses. My 5 alarms are Wi-Fi connected and mains powered. One goes off, all go off. Unless it says no smoke alarms in my house, my cooking always sets them off. That used to be the thing. We'd always, we used to joke whenever the fire alarm went off in here. Tea's ready.
But never when it was a cup of tea like we were doing.
David Under says no electrical work allowed to be done here by non-electricians. I think that's probably the same here, to be honest. But it's my house, I'll do it, whatever. Lucky Pete says, hey Mike and Kath, hope you and the community are well. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Hayden Trent says, so they calmed down after being colours, or being in colours. Yeah, I think so.
A bit buckaroo, didn't they?
Yeah. David Under says, or plumbing, even tap washers. Wow. I think in the UK, a lot of the stuff you can do, or you're allowed to do, as long as you're not modifying or changing the existing appliance. So like if you want to change a light fitting, you can do that as long as you're not adding a light fitting or changing the type of fitting. I think the same with wall sockets. Like if a wall socket breaks, you can take off a wall socket and replace it yourself. Same for plumbing as well. Plumbing wise, I think plumbing you're actually allowed to do a little bit more. Gas work you're not. Gas work is one of those things that is very, very much like just don't touch it. But when it comes to plumbing work, like heating, water, in the UK, I think you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can, if you want to, you can install your own combi boiler, but you're not allowed to commission it. So you can do all the groundwork, do all the plumbing, all the pipes to it, but you cannot connect it to the gas and you cannot commission it. I think that's the case anyway. Skystalker says, don't mess with gas. Boom. Mark Berry says, I do all my own plumbing. It's all plastic pipes anyways. Gas, leave it to the engineers. Yeah, plastic, I slightly regret a lot of our pipe work when we put it in. We use plastic, but apparently using plastic for your heating is like a really bad idea because of the expansion and contraction, because plastic doesn't do it as well as copper.
And copper, doesn't that take out some impurities?
It might do.
And then you're letting all those impurities go into your boiler.
Alessa says, I've rewired my entire house, including installing a new circuit board. That's pretty cool. I didn't help with the rewiring, I don't think. I did the second fix. So putting the wall sockets on the walls, that was pretty easy to do, mostly. Helped put down the central heating pipe work. Didn't connect it up. Did a few bits and pieces, but I was working most of the time.
Through the wall for the boiler to fit.
Yeah.
That was hard work.
Oh yeah. Drilling the hole. This is a 1930s brick house, and trying to drill the hole for the combi boiler flue to go out through the wall was absolutely soul destroying. It was
after getting off with 1930s kitchen tiles.
1930s kitchen tiles, which were cemented on.
They were so cool.
And the kitchen is basically red brick wall, and like going through like aerolite bricks or something like that is a piece of cake. But these red bricks, going through them was really hard work. Gary says, fortunately I can do all that. You can come around and do ours. Right, I just realised the time actually. It's gone past 11 o'clock. So unless there's any other dying questions, I would think we'll start wrapping things up. I think realistically, like when it comes to these streams, like because of CES and Christmas, everyone's been sort of somewhat on pause. I think it's going to be interesting this time next week to see how the reviews have gone for the early instalment of the new Nvidia Super Series with the RTX 4070 Super. If it's looking as good as it is at the moment from what I can tell, without being specific, I think it's probably going to be worth some people, if you've been on the fence for a while, it's probably going to be worth getting a pre-order in quick on launch day, I think personally. But until the actual prices are confirmed, as always, it's going to be a guessing game. But we'll see what happens. SPG33 says 5% improvement on performance, I suspect. I must admit, when I've been doing the testing, I've looked at the numbers, but I haven't given it a specific percentage. And I probably should. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. So, from my testing, I can't remember the exact figures, but I've got a rough ballpark in mind, and I'm pretty sure the difference is double figures, not single figures. It might only just be double figures, but I'm pretty sure it is not single figures. If I got a calculator out and did it, I could probably work out exactly. But percentages were never my strong point. So I think it's going to be, I think people are going to be in general pleased. Now again, it's going to depend on the version of the card you're getting as well. Because what we've gone on so far is like basically Founders Edition information and specifications. So as always with everything, if you get a AIB partner card, normally those are going to have a couple of percent of an improvement as well. So potentially it might be a little bit less for actual Founders Edition cards. Who knows? But having said that, if the Founders Edition cards are going to be sticking to the prices that they've stated and they come out basically that, you're kind of getting performance for, well, you're not getting performance, but you're basically getting the same card cheaper. So like you're going from $800 for the 4070 Ti down to $600. And with the Ti Super, you're going from what was like £1,100 over here to £800. So like £200 or £300 cheaper for the same performance. Yeah, it's not brilliant because it's still bloody expensive, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. And if all of the tiers are kind of bumped down a bit in terms of pricing, that's going to have a knock-on effect across the entire market. So it's a win-win situation. It's not brilliant, it's not excellent, it's not the best thing in the world, it's not like a gift from the gods or anything, but I think certainly is a step in the right direction. And I'm actually someone who basically dislikes Nvidia for their shitty marketing practices, but it's one of those things. You have to kind of take it because they are who they are and they are leading the market. And there's a reason they lead the market. It's because they're bloody good cards. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah, SPG33 says, still too expensive, but it's in the right direction. It is. And the thing is, we're in a completely different environment in terms of the financial outlook. The whole world is a very, very different place than it was a couple of years ago. And even a few years before that. So, I don't like using the phrase the new normal, but it kind of is getting to be that new normal. The only way we'll change that is if everybody, and I mean everybody, holds off buying graphics cards, or at least a good 80% of people. Because unfortunately, there's still going to be places like businesses, people who work for a living using their computers, who will buy it regardless because it is a necessity. It is a tool to get a job done. So it's a tax deductible. Yes, it might be more expensive than it should be, but I need it. It's like a plumber. If you need a spanner to do your job, or you need an oxyacetylene welder, you just buy it. And you generally buy the one that is the market leader because it's good and it lasts and it's got spare parts and what have you. Anyway, I'm going slightly off topic now. So, we'll see what happens. David Endel says, GamerMeld, YouTubers said the new cheaper prices, but that is the price already here, so maybe even cheaper. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because I did watch the guys over at Hardware Unboxed talking about it. And yeah, it definitely, and actually Tech Yes City as well, because obviously he's in Australia as well. Looking at his perspective on the new cards, it's actually not such a good deal if they are MSRP. It's far more favourable for us in the UK or possibly in America than it is for Aussie dollars. And I don't understand why that is, why Australia is getting such a good deal on motherboards and graphics cards and stuff at the moment. I don't understand how that is actually even a thing, because surely they've still got import duty and stuff, possibly even more than what other countries get. So yeah, it's a very strange situation. The global market is a very kind of weird and delicate thing and moves in mysterious ways, so we're not too sure. But we'll see. Hayden Trent says, so close to China? Oh, what, Australia being... Oh, so they get shipped directly from China. Maybe that might be the case, yeah. If you get your shipments directly from China, cutting out the middleman, then maybe so. Like here in the UK, generally shipments go from China probably to European warehouses and then out to the UK. Rarely they come directly to the UK. So maybe we get that kick in, that tax kick in maybe. I don't know. David Rendell says China is a favoured trading partner, so we get better prices. Very much like USA, what, 20, 30 years ago. Probably 30, 40 years ago now. Anyway, I've waffled on for way too long. Thank you all for watching on this cold Saturday evening. It's actually getting cold now. It's 22.4 degrees Celsius. It feels colder. There's only a degree different. I feel I'm starting to get chilly already. So thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, then consider hitting subscribe and also the chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. Thank you all so much for your contributions, your chat, your comments, and your super chats. And
we haven't done our free memberships again.
Oh.
Should we do it now or should we do it?
Kath hasn't done the free memberships, so we'll quickly do the free memberships now. You never know, you might get some early access to the videos. So if you're still in the chat, I'll say...
I have to let this one go first.
Yeah, go on, let it go. There's James Miscellaneous. How you doing, James? We're going to release another 5 memberships for free for 30 days. So you get early access to videos and also you get the VIP access in our Discord. But you'll have to let me know what your Discord username is, because otherwise I won't know who you are.
There we go, I couldn't have the book.
Yeah, alright, let's see who...
5 left, so give 5.
Yeah, go for it. We're going to gift 5. Let's see who's in the winning seats. So, Shearer69 was gifted a membership.
Oh,
Lord Erectus, awesome stuff, was gifted a membership. Machiavelli 2127. Also, James Degriz was gifted a membership as well. And also, Jay was gifted a membership by Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. There you go.
Is it just people that are subscribed to you? I don't think it's people that are always in
I
chat.
think it might be subscribers. Might be chat as well, I don't know. No idea. Anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think they have to be in...
No, they don't have to be literally on at the time, I don't think, no. As long as they're subscribers, I think it is.
Because I haven't seen Lord Erectus in, but maybe he was.
Anyway, there's some bit of festive... What's it? What's
Lord
that?
Erectus is in, I just missed him.
Lord Erectus was in. Awesome stuff. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. And looking out for the reviews on the 16th and 17th for the 40,000 series. 40,000? 4,000 series. Brain's gone now. I'm going to call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. I'm going to be in the shop tomorrow, so I won't be in the Discord very much. But we'll catch up with you Sunday evening into Monday. Have a great weekend, what's left of it. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.